Each week in this podcast, the topics of today and tomorrow are discussed while we sample some of the finest libations known to man. Join us. We are your hosts, Brian and Britt.
Check us out. All right.
Hey. From Havana
Mick Carlson.
Hey,
Right.
nice. Yeah, Chaz is the owner of this fine establishment and a few others we're going to discuss. And Mick is the general manager. We'll get into that. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This looks great. The offering that you brought to the table here.
It is the season of offerings.
Nice.
It is.
Yeah. Is there one in particular that we're going to start with while we can get that going while we...
Yeah, I'd like to feature Libertas Rum.
Sure, yeah. Now, I heard something...
Zach Tremert from Brickway Brewery, and I concocted one day when drinking rum and said, hey, why aren't we doing a rum for Havana Garage? And so in doing so, yeah, for sure. And so doing so, we crafted up the brand Libertas, and meaning, liberty, freedom, and so forth, which is exemplifying of a lot of our spirits. And rum is something that I enjoy greatly, so I said, well, here we go, let's go do this. So in 2015, we took cane sugar and dumped it in a barrel and said, hey guys, let's kind of forget about this for a couple of years.
Nice. What's how long did you let it sit in the barrel?
A little over 2.5 years.
Wow.
2.5 years, so the sampling's always kind of a fun
So
part.
this is relatively new to market then?
relatively new, yeah.
Very
Here in
nice.
Omaha, yes.
So, I mean, talk me through the process here. You went to Brickway and was just all like, hey, I've got this idea about something?
Yeah. Zach and I, we've been great friends forever, and trying to collaborate with something, and wanted to do that with Zach. And so we were just kind of sitting around drinking some rum and said, why aren't we trying to do something here? And he wasn't quite ready to do something.
Sure.
So I said, you know what? Hey, I'll set all this up. Let's get all this going. You source, and let's put something together.
Now, 2015, how? Because Brickway is relatively new.
Yeah,
but-
Brickway, boy, 2013 maybe.
Five years, yeah.
So he was just getting off the ground and getting things rolling, just kind of
Right.
getting his groove going.
Right. Yeah, he was really focused in on his beers and getting his vodka up and getting his first, I think, brown liquor in the barrel. And of
He's
course,
got quite the still there too.
it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here I am. I'm kind of the monkey in the cog and say, hey, why don't we do a rum?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any time to do rum. I said, well, let me do some of the groundwork, and we'll source it, and let's get it in-house, and let's distill it.
Nice.
And so it's just kind of a little mad science.
Very cool.
Love that kind of stuff. And,
Yeah.
and he was great about it.
Now, with this being just your guys' rum,
Sure.
is that something that I can go to Brickway and buy, or is it something that I can buy here?
You can buy it here. You can buy it at Brickway. They've got distribution set up. I'm not sure who they.
So I was going to say, is it out in town, or do you have to go to the?
Yeah, no, I know it's at Spirit World, and so
Nice.
they've got distribution.
It's
But
not everywhere.
No.
It's just there was only so many barrels that were made.
Right.
So it's
Sure.
Spirit World. It's here. It's there. But you can't get it
Yeah.
at any liquor store.
No.
Right. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, let's crack this baby open
Yeah,
and
let's-
see what the all the excitement's about.
I'll have you
Yeah.
pour your own there. I'm excited. Some rum.
I'm excited. So we have not really traditionally done rum straight on the program before. We've had it in drinks before, but
Well, we were able to use
thank you, kind
whiskey
sir.
barrel to age it in.
Yeah.
Which I am. That's
So you do get the whiskey vanilla
Nice.
and all that in there as well.
yeah. You can smell it.
I can smell the vanilla. Yeah, absolutely.
Very drinkable, rum. That was one of the first goals. Was I wasn't into just the white clear rums like we see out of the Bacardis,
Sure.
so forth. I really wanted the rum where you could sit here and actually, drink it straight. It doesn't do much good to
Cheers, gentlemen.
pour Coca-Cola or something in there. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That is
Oh,
smooth.
unbelievably smooth. What's the is this a 40% or 80 proof?
I believe it's a 40%.
40%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man,
You can really taste that oak in there.
40,
Oh, absolutely.
43%.
43.
Oh, so a little bit higher,
Yeah,
but
so
still
86
only
proof.
for something that's a little higher than 40%, this is like there's no burn. It's super smooth. It almost tastes watered down. But the flavor is right there. It's right up front. The like you said, you can taste the barrel.
You look at it. You've got
sweet.
You got some legs on this. Got a lot of caramel look to it. It's not dark, super dark, like you might see in a Myers rum where it's dark, but it's got this, really nice amber look to it.
I like the little quote on the back here: "With a quill in one hand and a rifle in the other."
Nice.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Very nice.
And I mean, you think about rum and what was happening in the United States back when we were founded, and rum was a very major part of what we were doing.
And tea.
And yeah, right. And Libertas, exemplifies that. Liberty and rum, and we've got looks like we've got snakes on the back here, rattlesnakes, and just kind of exemplifying this.
Don't
ability.
tread on me.
Yeah, don't tread on me. Kind of giving that feeling of this is something very Americana.
Very nice. I dig. Is your name anywhere on this, or how did people know that you're associated with that? Just
No.
if they know the story.
Yeah, they know the story. I never put my name on something. I mean, I probably should have. But
Well, your name's on this beautiful place that we're in here, Havana Garage. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the. You've got several businesses that you own. We're drinking on this. We'll go through a few of these, and then we'll spend some time on each one of those.
Yeah.
I would like to end with the Havana Garage because that's where I spend a little more time there. But so you own Havana Garage, which opened.
We opened in 2010.
Okay.
March of 2010.
March of 2010. We're down in the Old Market, 1008 Howard Street in the Old Market. For those of you that don't know,
Pretty much, if you come in off 10th Street, it's pretty much the first thing.
Almost on the corner.
Almost
Yeah.
the first thing.
We're on the east side of the bricks, is what we call it.
Yep. Your newest venture, Rathskeller, which just opened right before Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Needing to try that.
Yeah, Rathskeller Bier Haus. Just a, you think about things when you travel and you look at, different venues, and I enjoy German beer a lot, and I thought that, there's a marketplace here in Omaha for a German beer house. We have a couple of companies here in town. They're also here, the German beer houses, but ours is a little bit more unique. We're a standalone building. We're a big beer hall atmosphere. Big, ashwood tables and benches, and it has this, really community-oriented
Kind of like a Hoffer House, like a German ale house.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the name of it because I looked it up. I was like, I know that's a part of Germany, but I didn't like. So, why did he pick the name? But I knew that it was German. The German history behind it.
Yeah,
so.
Rathskeller. I mean, interesting old name. It's traditional.
Wrath with the H is traditional. I think it's Rathskeller.
Rathskeller, you'll see that. And that rat or that wrath is council. And Keller is basement. So
council in the basement.
Council in the basement. So you'd see a lot of that activity over in Germany in basements of community halls or banks. And this is where people would go to drink and to have a great time.
Nice. We talk politics upstairs, and then we have a drink over downstairs.
And so that was the idea. Was I wanted to bring this Rathskeller to Omaha. This idea of community, large tables, environment, beer, German food, variations of German food and German beers, and really bring a lot of people to one center where we can have and talk great time about.
Now, you happen to mention food.
Yes.
So I was wondering if people can get food.
Yes. Yeah.
They've got a nice menu there.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got like schnitzel and cheese, so it's our version
of
Wiener
Schnitzel, huh?
Right. Yeah, Wiener Schnitzel. That will soon be a plated dish. But we're serving traditional bratwurst, and we're serving pretzels and our different mustards, and we've got the version of Omaha's
the Reuben.
The Reuben, yeah,
classic
the
Reuben,
the classic Reuben. And
that a Reuben can make or break a place. Got
especially here in Nebraska, man.
Down here.
I see Reuben on the menu. I'm like, I gotta try.
It's
it's not.
kitchen's getting their legs up underneath them. I think they've done a really good job.
It's like upscale bar snacks and small plates. It's kind of what you're serving there, right?
We're serving we don't have a fryer, so we aren't serving French fries. But what we do is we take these
German potatoes.
We add that. We take potato chips and we add different features and tastes and so forth.
So I noticed that on your menu, and I did want to come back to that. I noticed that you have some special chips on the menu. Like you have a whole section just for the chips.
Devoted to
like, what is this? This is super cool.
Right.
So
curry chips, Reuben chips, cheese chips.
Yeah.
That's
kind of crazy.
Is the serving size like for one person, or is it for like a table to share?
You would have like a boat size, we would call it. Just a serving for one person. Two people could eat off it. And one of the other things that was really big was we do charcuterie trays. We've got a sausage.
Nice.
We have individual sausages. You can put 3 to 4 different sausages on there, and you get different mustards and relish and, of course, sauerkraut. I mean, how can we not talk about sauerkraut and German beer?
Right, exactly.
Sauerkraut, spicy mustard.
Oh, spicy mustard. It's good.
The worst.
I mean, So
traditional Deutschland material. Here,
so when you look at bratwurst, it's called Wurst. Wurst. So we'll be featuring Wurst is Monday. So we'll have specials on Mondays for just bratwurst. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So it's been fun. It's new, and we're like I said, we're figuring ourselves out and trying to find our place. And I think everyone's doing a good job, and the community's been great, super great.
Where is that location again, by the way?
We're at 45th and Farnham.
And it's a standalone Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And you have parking lots on both sides, which I was like, man, this is perfect. Like you can have it, and you've got the big beer hall. You've got an outside fire pit.
Yep.
Let's get back to the beers a little bit. You had mentioned that we kind of skipped over that. You have over 100 beers now.
I think from our keg beer, we got about 30 keg beers.
30 taps.
30 taps.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing that I noticed when I went there that I liked is not only do you have traditional German beer, the Spatens and the Warsteins and all that stuff.
Stefan.
Yeah, but you also have some other local beers in there, which is really cool.
Very much so.
We really wanted to do was focus on German beer, a few European beers, some Scottish, some England, but then also our neighbors, your Script Towns,
Farnham
your
House.
Brickway, your Farnham House, our local
and you got Fairy
friends,
Nectar on
our
there,
neighbors,
Fairy
Cross
Nectar.
Absolutely, Silver Medal winner.
Pint, I love those guys out there.
Yeah, and so the community in Omaha for beer making's grown over the years, obviously.
Unbelievable.
And it's amazing. And so to kind of homage to them and to the craft of making beer, since we were very beer focused as an entity at Rathskeller, is that we really wanted to focus in on them and give them, and put them out front and have them make us German style beers.
Now, do you in your family?
I'm a European milkshake.
Oh, nice. All right. So because our last name is actually German too. We try to remain somewhat anonymity here.
Right.
But we do have some German roots from our father's side.
Yeah, sure.
Swedish.
Yeah, Swedish. Yes. Nordic.
Swedish, Irish, Nordic. Just a melting pot.
Exactly. We're all mutts nowadays.
Yeah.
There's almost no 100%.
I came from Adam and Eve.
Yeah, right.
You tell, the kettle chips. That's what that whole section was. I did want to talk about how you've kind of split things off a little bit. You got the bar as his own little section, plus some high top tables there. It'd be nice if the bar was a little bigger, but I understand the space you had to work with.
With downtown buildings, it's tough to change them a lot. It's like, here's your space. Don't mess it up.
We're dealing with a 120-year-old building.
Yeah. Well, and I like that you have the old style German hall, long tables, get to know your neighbor. We're going to get you out of your comfort zone and
that's
sit next to someone
part
else.
Of it with the smaller bar area, you have to know your neighbor. You have to. You have to meet people, and that's the beautiful part about it. And then you go to the beer hall and you share the long table.
Which makes you get to know your neighbor,
Right. And you also have the fireplace. Is that an active fireplace?
No, we don't really. No, I don't want to use it.
Just for looks.
It's just for looks.
And that's fine. That's fine too.
Yeah. So when let's talk about that. When you first walk in, that's called the Boar's Head Room. And if you look up up next to the front door there, I've got a wild boar.
I missed that.
Yeah, a black boar. It's a European boar.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why it's called the Boar's Head Room.
Nice.
And so in there, the other thing that we wanted to really do is, since it's a brick building, we wanted to bring in the woods from what we find native here. So we have walnut tables. We have a sycamore table. We use ash wood for tables, and we're using bur oak, and bur oak is the table on the bar top.
Nice.
And it's just gorgeous. I mean, and it's hardy and it'll last forever.
Well, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah.
I think we need to
cheers and get something else.
That's very good.
I mean, we talked a little bit about that one. Let's move on to your other venture. Sure. Probably one that's been here the longest in town is Nifty Bar and Grill.
Nifty Bar. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
This now I kind of work in that area, so I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Now, were you guys affected with this? Is for those of you that don't know where the Nifty is. It's right at the interchange of Military, Fontenelle, Boulevard, and Northwest Radial Highway. So it's right where Northwest Radial Highway starts heading south.
Yep.
And were you guys affected when the intersection changed at all? Because I know they redesigned.
No, we weren't affected by that.
For some reason, I thought you were. Yeah. So why don't we talk? That's kind of more the neighborhood bar.
Yeah. It was. People asked me why did you want to get involved there, and I said it's a classic neighborhood place.
Yeah.
The building that it sits in has been there since 1950.
Oh wow.
So if you can imagine coming right out of World War II, and here's a building. Before the Nifty Bar worked its way up and down Northwest Radial Highway, and there was no set building. It was still dirt roads. We weren't dealing with incorporated structured entities. And so the original owner had built the building.
Was it the Nifty back then in the 50s?
It was the Nifty.
Nifty 50.
And so I'm really sentimental about those things. If it's lasted this long, so why change the name?
Well, I think on your website for the Nifty, you actually have the original sign.
Yes,
on there.
that is the original sign that was there.
Yeah.
And it's a neighborhood bar. I mean,
it's got pool, it's got darts.
Yeah. It's just a small bar, and the fun part about it is you could literally, if you could envision yourself being in a small town Nebraska, it could go there, a small town in Iowa. That's what it is. And people, you get to know everybody, just like kind of the Three Cheers.
You
get to know your name.
We didn't talk about live music at Rathskeller. Are you thinking about doing that?
Yeah, we'll have live music at Rathskeller. We'll do that out back. Inside it gets a little tight, so we'd do that out back.
Plus the acoustics are
not
the
greatest.
I noticed
that you had some lawn space in the back, so that's kind of cool.
A lot of lawn space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some cornhole.
Oh yeah, every tailgate game you can imagine.
Nice.
We're gonna have back there. Yeah,
perfect.
It's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. It's a beast, but
one of our family's games that we do when we get together is called Cube, Kubb. It's a Nordic game.
Oh, nice.
Where you toss wooden dowels at wooden blocks, and then there's a king in the center.
It's a Viking game. You sticks and rocks.
I like it.
We were chatting about that the other day, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We can do some bocce ball. We can do the bags.
Yeah.
We can do
ladders.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good time.
What's that, Polish frisbee?
Polish horseshoes.
Is that what we call Polish horseshoes?
Nice. Well, so kind of a little bit back to the Nifty there. The beer offerings there. What do you?
We've got 15 drafts at the Nifty. Of course, you're pouring your traditionals, your Buds, your Bud Lights, these types of beers that have been around forever.
You got to hydrate somehow.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And then we delve into a lot of the locals again. The Brickways, the Pint Nines, the cross strains, and work with the local.
Nice, but with 15, you got some. You got some real estate there.
We've got some flex.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was taking the bar back in 2007 when there was 6 taps. And it was all domestic that you would see, the Bud Light, Busch Light, and so forth. And I got in and said, that's great, it works, but we need to kind of, update ourselves a little bit. And so that's when we said, hey, let's because the world's changing,
right?
And our marketplace is changing,
yeah.
And you think about it. I think the only company might have been they weren't even around. Lucky Bucket, I was going to say. Empyrean was still.
Empyrean's been around a long time.
Yeah, they would have been, I think, the first, true brewery.
Right.
Well, and people are growing and changing, and they want to do local.
Right.
Keep the money here.
Yeah, keep the money here for sure. And that really fits in the theme with the neighborhood bar. Everyone gets that.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's great, and it's great to see the young kids come in and try out the locals, and it's fun to watch them. About them and want to know more and encourage us to get different ones all the time.
That you could just add to it. You kept the classics and added to it.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, because a lot, and back in the day, back in 2007, we had quite a nice crew of gentlemen who were served in World War II. and you see a lot of them have passed.
The mainstay locals,
and so now we see the Vietnam vets who are now up in age, who are your daily guys who come in during the day to their friend and have a beer and talk about it. And that's starting some because unfortunately they're passing. So now now the whole bar environment has changed a little bit for the local small neighborhoods. It's now becoming another generation of
probably getting
and
like
women.
the Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom vets that are coming in.
The hipsters,
the hipster events.
Well, they are near Benson. So
for sure. I want to say this: every November 10th, we celebrate the Marine Corps birthday party.
Nice, and 11th is Veterans Day.
Hoorah! Yeah, in the Corps, and my cousins are in the Corps, and I just grew up, really respecting that branch. Not that any of the other branches are any less, but that's one near and dear to me. I grew up eating cereal with a USMC, spoon, and woke up to revelry every morning. My dad whistling it. That's
37 years.
Yeah,
first class.
We got Sean over here
helping us out.
Helping us out
Thank
from
you, Sean.
Into the Pint Glass.
He's actually been on the program a couple times, so thank you, Sean, for helping out.
Appreciate that.
I guess. Where do we want to go?
You guys want to go to Scotland?
Sure,
wherever we want to go.
You want to go
you can take us there.
Let's travel. This is a lot cheaper actually to get there.
Yeah. So
I went to Scotland in 2013. Went to Ireland
very
and
nice.
Scotland, and
it's on my bucket list.
Oh my gosh, it's hard to even speak about
You have
because
to just do it.
Yeah, it just the feel, the look, and you start thinking about Scotch, and when you're there, and you just
I can't imagine Scotland.
Right,
It's just
it is kind of wild.
Yeah. That's super cool. Did you play any golf or?
We went to the old course. We didn't play any golf. Okay. I had my 3 boys and my wife with me, so I wouldn't have been able to finish the trip because we'd have been broke.
There you go.
And
not cheap to go there.
And they all wanted to play golf. And I said, "Sorry, we can't go there. We'll go, but we can't play."
So I'm racking up my points at Beertopia, and hopefully I'll get to do the tour of Scotland. And
exactly.
So one thing to remember and think about. They take holiday over New Year's.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So distillers are closed for like 3-4 weeks over New Year's.
Right.
So if you go then, you don't get to go to distilleries, which is what happened to me.
Right.
Oh, no.
I took the train past many, drank a lot, but did not get to go into any. So keep that in mind.
So you planned your trip around this, and then you were
and then I
unable
got
to
there
go?
and realized that they actually take a month off.
Oh man.
That's our holiday.
You do your research.
So now you got to go back. Darn it.
I have no choice.
All right. Well, let's. There you go, Britt. You can take that one.
Thank you.
So, what do we have here, Chaz?
So Glenmorangie.
Okay.
Mick, talk about
All right,
this.
Perfect.
This is one that I love.
The Signet, from Glenmorangie.
They put so many different barrels together on this. Some young stuff, some older stuff. You're ranging 8 years to 30 years in this.
I love how dark it is.
Oh, right.
Super
It's
dark
a
first
beautiful, just beautiful, caramely, sweet, raisiny.
You get the caramel right up the front of the.
Almost
off the nose
reminds me of like a port cask finished whiskey without it actually.
Oh, like a
having to be-
Macallan,
but not actually.
Or no, that's
finished
sherry.
That way.
That's sherry.
They do
Yeah.
sherry.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the
That's a good
Balvenie,
amber
actually.
color.
I mean, look at that.
Very good amber color.
Super dark.
Super gorgeous. I mean, you look at this, and we're drinking out of Glencairn glasses.
I
Let's
love
talk about
love these.
I
You
love
know, this
Glencairn
is
glasses.
important.
It
This
is.
is really, really important.
Nosing glasses is kind of the nickname.
to use, and if you want to drink fine whiskeys, I highly recommend the
Well,
Glencairn.
it just funnels it right into your nose, you know?
Yeah, if you go on Amazon or wherever, you can Glencairn glasses. They'll find they're not that expensive, but it's worthwhile to have it in your selection.
It's
at least
worth
have
it.
6 of it. Yeah, at least grab 6 of them.
Yeah.
So,
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers on that.
I went way ahead.
Oh, no, no big
no.
deal. It's no big
I
We
like
clinky
your style.
before we drinky.
I had to be that guy.
All right.
But yeah, it really
Oh,
lets
another
the,
smooth.
Oh yeah.
And you said this is a whiskey.
This is a Scotch.
Scotch whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Goes down into my belly.
A blend of many, many years of barrels all put together.
So nice and warm going down.
Which is why they don't have an age statement on it.
Yes, correct.
Yep.
Because there's just so many things going on.
Which I think they're going to start moving more into that. You're starting to see more and more non-age statement.
It's becoming inevitable with just how whiskey's blown up.
Yeah.
That the 25-year stuff is already getting sold, the 20 or the 15-year. So they're doing different processes and aging things differently.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're running out too because there's such popularity. Like Glenlivet got rid of their 12-year.
Right.
Now it's Founders Reserve.
Yes.
Because they're it's just the stock. It's just we can't make enough and hold it on. The rare stuff, anything over 20 years is going to be rare, so people aren't buying that as much. But anything in that 12 to 12, 15, 18.
The last decade, it just has moved off the shelves. Like,
when I opened up Havana Garage, that was the idea. We're going to be a brown liquor house, and at the time I was acquiring every single malt, every bourbon, every rum that we could possibly get our hands on.
Probably had quite the selection there.
Yeah, and Mick, what's our selection here? So, take a wild guess.
When I first started here, we had probably 50 or so, I would say.
Yeah.
And that was almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're up to 200, 205 single malts.
Wow.
And that's not counting bourbons. If you just talk whiskey, 400 different whiskeys.
Yeah, 400.
Here.
Yeah, just right upstairs.
Wow. When you
That's
say whiskey,
awesome.
are you whiskey specifically, or
Scotch
because
whiskey, Irish
bourbon,
whiskey,
is
blended
all
whiskey,
Canadian rye,
Irish, okay.
But
wheat,
as far
wheat-based,
as the single malts, we're about 200 different single malts.
That's awesome.
and we've seen some old friends go by because we can't get them anymore.
Right.
Sad. I mean, it's sad, but as we just talked about the age statement, boom, some age statements are gone, never to see it again. Now, being a business and marketing individual, I've got to believe that they've been dropping some stuff, and all right, this is going to be the next 25 year, but we aren't going to talk about it or touch it.
Right, but
in the next 10 years, I see many age statements coming back.
They have to. That's the reason
because
why
they're sitting on them right now, letting them go. Yeah. And we'll pump out the no age statements for a little bit, and then in the next 10 years,
everything just comes right back around. Because speaking of that, records, and then it went tapes, and then it went CDs. Now it's back to records again.
Yeah, I mean, records are hot again.
Exactly.
You get the true taste, the true sound.
But here at Havana Garage, you can come, you can get your whiskey, get your scotch, get your brown liquors, but you can also come and get a cigar here.
Yeah, which is a good pairing. That's
absolutely
a great pairing.
Yeah, I'll talk about this just for a minute.
Sure.
This is Entrada. This is a cigar that I blended with my, as I call my family down in Nicaragua. I've got to know these guys back in year 2001, and doing cigars is not so much different than whiskey or wines or anything, because it's organic, 100% organic. And with that in mind, I mean they have bales of tobacco that they set aside in their curing barns.
Where is this?
This is down in Esteli, Nicaragua.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, being an organic product and relying on humidity, obviously, down there in Nicaragua, it's a perfect place for this. But talking with my friends down there, I said, I really want to do a cigar, and I could have done one back in 2001. I said, no, I'm not ready to do it because I'm not feel confident enough about blending. So blending is where you're taking the three different components of cigars. You've got binder, filler, and wrapper. And the wrapper is the tobacco leaf that you see. And that's where a lot of your flavor comes from. And so we waited till about 2014. And then we started actually going down every year and working with the blenders down there. Mm-hmm. And we would sit there and blend cigars, and it was great fun, don't get me wrong. But if you're sitting in a room and you're smoking 20 cigars a day,
jeez,
is
palate's got to be wrecked.
Oh, you are wrecked. You're Wreck-It Ralph right away. That's hard. It's really hard. But nonetheless, this is what we produce. This is our first cigar that we produced. It's got a what we call a Oscuro or a Mexican Segundo wrapper.
Does this have the Havana Garage label on there?
It has Entrada label.
You just have to know
the
story.
Right.
All right.
And this is Entrada label. This is a Corona size. And you look at the Corona or a Lancero size. These are the sizes that you get probably the most flavor out of them because they're smaller, and you still have to get the right balance of tobacco because within the sizes of cigars, you can have 6 to 7 different sizes. The blend needs to taste the same. While the thinner ones are harder.
So I used to work at Cigaros.
Oh, sure.
Back in the day, and one of my favorite cigars was the Trinidad.
Oh, Trinidad. Yeah.
Nice, big, long stogie. That's an all-nighter.
Right.
Do you guys carry those here?
We don't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because you want to get people in and out of here quick.
We want them to sit here a long time. Trinidad's gone through a variety of different levels of changes. I mean, as they all do. That's an old brand.
Yeah.
And,
it's just to me, it had the best flavor.
Yeah.
I like the Ashtons. And, things
with
like
that size, most of your flavors coming from the wrap.
Yeah.
So when you have that thinner Lancero size, you're getting a lot of flavor out of that.
Yeah. This particular cigar is a medium-bodied cigar, so the Scotch that we're drinking right now is perfect for it.
Very well. We
might
have to do one after the talk.
Well,
talk.
With the Esteli, you get a little bit of that pepperiness.
Yes.
That with this kind of sweeter Scotch whiskey.
Perfect offsets.
Very nice.
And then you were talking about the blending of it. It's important to remember when you see no age statement whiskeys, it's harder to do that. Because you're blending so many different things together to get that combination
and
correct,
the flavor profile,
where it all comes together perfectly. Right. Whereas you have, your single barrels and stuff, that's what it is.
Right.
They're sitting there trying to figure out what 5, 10, 15 different barrels will combine to make it work, just like with blending that cigar.
Yeah. That is a palate that I can't even fathom.
I mean, that finesse of a Scotch palate.
It's not science at that point. It's art.
It's art. And then, and I imagine at that point in time, like we all are, we find something that we particularly like, the flavor we like. So that must be the right one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the blender, I guess that must have been the right one.
Well, and the Signet's really good, and at the price point, it's not too terribly priced. It's a little higher than some of the other Glenmorangie, but is this the one that won the award, the Signet?
This has won many awards. It's kind of their staple piece.
What was the one? There was one last year that. Gosh, I can't. It was a high award for Scotch. I can't remember. It was a Glenmorangie, but I can't remember.
The Quinta Reuben has gotten.
That's the one I keep. Yeah.
That's their 12-year port cask finish, where they take the 10-year and then age it for 2 years in port cask, and that one's been pretty big. But they also do all sorts of sherry cask finish.
Yes.
Pinot Noir cask finish, rum cask.
I don't believe I've ever had a Pinot Noir finish.
It is interesting.
Really? The rum sounded good to me.
Right? I've got to think that I think Glenmorangie was probably the first single malt Scotch company to actually start getting into those different styles like that.
To the degree that they
with the different barrels,
kind of what they're known for now.
Yeah, because they have their baseline 10-year,
right,
and then they do. I think we have 6 different ones upstairs that are different cask finishes for 2 years. So it's all the same base, and then they just change it up.
It's always been a light.
I like the bass that you got going on there when you hit the table.
It's always been a light floral. I mean, the floral Glenmorangie is not known as this heavy, deep,
it's super
Scotch.
Light. And you would think with the coloration of it, that you would think it'd be a full flavored. That's
the barrel. That's the barrel doing all the talking.
Super smooth.
Some bourbon barrel. I don't even know who they use for their bourbon barrels.
It's probably a mixture.
Yeah, well, very well could be.
The thing that's neat about the non-age statements, because you talked about that a little bit ago, is they can have you could have an 18-year in here.
Right.
There's 30-year in here.
Yeah. It might be a minute portion of it.
There's also some 7-year.
Right, and you can only call it the least amount.
Yeah, correct.
So why would you? I mean, at that point. So I know people that poo-poo the non-age statements, and I'm like, you know what?
Give it a try.
Is it good? I mean, do you like drinking it? Because that's the main. It's meant to be drank.
Right.
And if
you think about the original origin for all these single malt guys, they were putting them in blends. That was the whole idea. That was the purpose for when your Johnny Walkers. I mean, that's where you got all this, was from the single malt guys,
which is difficult to do as well. You're now blending from different distilleries.
Right. Now you're trying to make this blend. Yeah, crazy hard. And then the single malt guys go, hey, why are we giving all this juice to these guys? Let's do it ourselves. And so,
I do remember something about this one. It is virgin American oak. Oh, actually. It's not ex-bourbon barrels.
Nice.
That is very interesting.
So you get a lot more of the vanilla without the char.
I did get some vanilla in there, yeah.
So you lose a little bit of the char from the burnt barrels, but you get the sweet vanilla.
So I was just going to mention, people probably notice that there's people walking around. The humidor is down here. Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. We've got, this is where your Trinidad would have been.
Oh, there you go.
We had the Trinidad. But, we carry, probably, 400 different cigars in there, maybe 5. And we get a little rotation out of that, depending on, when product comes in and who's the hot manufacturer and so forth. But
it's a nice size humidor.
I mean, or storms. Yeah. We had storm issues.
Right. Storm issues. We've got, country upheavals like Nicaragua went through.
So,
which is horrible.
I, out of the corner of my eye, every once in a while, I see this big plume of smoke, and I know it's not a nightclub in there. What's that all about? That just keeps it moist in there?
That is a very high-tech humidifier.
Okay.
And with cigar, 2 things. Temperature and humidity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so we're keeping in probably about, anywhere from 67 to 70. And in the wintertime, it's really hard on cigars. So we keep as much humidity going in there as possible, and the temperature runs about, typically what we're running in the building, and that's where we try and offset with.
Sure. Your employee that came down here, he was really quick to let the guy in, and
right.
shut that door.
Right. Yeah. Very much want to keep the humidity.
And we're in the basement of an old market building. So have there been any complications?
No.
With that surprises me that these are old buildings.
This is, I think this building might be about 1930s. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking maybe probably a little bit older. I don't know any.
So you had no issues getting it in there and sealing it off?
No. And we lined it with cedar, and it's all insulated inside, and so you want it to actually leak a little bit, as we say.
Sure.
You want it to breathe.
Right.
Breathing's important.
Otherwise, it'd get stagnant.
Yeah, you just got dead air in there. So opening the door is not a bad thing. Leaving it open all night
that is a bad thing. Yeah.
But then right.
now I'm thinking about breathing dead air.
Right. It's dead air.
Yeah.
Thinking about that time I left the door open.
Right. But you've got cigars from Nicaragua and Honduras and Dominican Republic, and cigars made here in the U.S., which hasn't been done in quite some time, but they're now starting to kind of bring that back. Mm-hmm. But with Entrada, this cigar goes particularly well with this Signet. Because the Signet, when we're tasting this at the back end of the throat, we're starting to take, we taste a little leathery and little tobacco flavors. Now, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, but you can taste it.
I was going to say, up front, there's really not a whole lot, because it's so smooth that it goes right back, and you get most of the flavor in the back.
Yeah, and then that back end, and that's where, you sit down with a cigar, and that's what we have a lot of people come in and do. That's what they want to do. Have a cigar and get a single malt scotch.
Nice. And the Entrada progresses so much throughout it. It changes as you get halfway through. It changes as you work through it.
Yeah. You're setting the bar high on this.
It's a great cigar.
Some subtle sweet notes as you work through it.
Yeah.
So I know that a couple years ago there was a big law that was going into effect where you can't smoke in a bar. That affected you, I'm sure, but has since gotten
that was
back in your favor.
Yeah, it was actually the way the original law was written back in 2009. It was a technicality issue regarding having a bar with a liquor license and being able to provide cigars, and it was just a wording issue, honestly. And we changed the wording of the legislature.
We are a cigar bar,
we're a cigar bar. We're not a bar that sells cigars. We're
people
a cigar
know
bar.
They're gonna have smoke inhaled because you're coming to a cigar bar.
Right, correct, and now that's all done. Which has been great. I think,
but I'm sure it was hard on you for a little while.
Yeah, everyone was kind of going, "Gosh, are we going to still be in business?" And
what's hard for all of us?
Yeah,
I mean, you could still maintain as a bar,
right?
And you could still maintain as selling cigars. You just couldn't do it while you were here.
Yeah, and
go outside, smoke.
Yeah, go outside and smoke. But what's great is, being down the old market. I mean, we get so many people from all over the world that come down here, and so many compliments from people that
this is the Mecca. This is the zone of Omaha.
We've got regulars from Chicago, New York City.
That's crazy.
The West Coast that come in here, DC that have, they're doing business here in town. They know they can come here and they get a cigar and get an excellent selection of brown liquors, a single malt or a bourbon, and this is their home. It's crazy. I kind of figured we would get this kind of feel, but not quite to the level that I.
When you have a patio up front, plus you've got back space. So I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I mean, now is not the season for it. But
well, that's not necessarily true.
You got some heaters out there?
We've got some heaters out there. We've got it blocked in.
Yeah,
it's very comfortable. I was out there earlier.
Right.
Nice. Well, I've actually never been out back.
During the springtime, it's obviously rather gorgeous. But right now, we've got it. We've got it covered. We've got a nice outdoor overhead, container, I guess, what you might call it. Just it's covered in whatever we call that stuff. But
plastic.
Yeah, plastic. We'll call it plastic. And we've got heaters up in there.
Are they like that propane heaters?
Oh no, these are high end roof, ceiling mount heaters.
All right. Sure. I was going to say, because that would affect some of the flavor and all that, the propane heaters you would think.
Oh yeah, it'd be horrible. Yeah. We got like 50,000 BTUs per heater. We got 200,000 BTUs of heat out there. I mean, it's comfortable.
You could sweat out there if you wanted to.
You could sweat out there if you wanted to. And it's a great space. We can put, oh my goodness, we can put easily 50 people out back. And
perfect.
We've had private parties back there and, wedding, parties. And it's great. And again, all of this, if we get this constant theme of community and people coming together, and that's what we're doing here again. We're doing the same thing. We've got a smaller space, but a little bit more spacious than the Nifty, but we're creating the same environment as we do even in the back. Everyone comes together. You're sitting at a table. You might, be running into, somebody from New York City. You're sitting right next to the bar. Or could be a local guy who works at a sign shop here in town. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful part about what we see in Omaha, is that people really seem to come together and find a way to enjoy themselves even with somebody that they're not used to.
Very friendly, including people that come in here, and you get to meet so many interesting people from all over the world.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's
kind of a selling
point
about
working here. I've got to meet so many people and share stories from all over, and just
get to know.
I've met them in other states.
Nice.
Nice,
yeah. Oh, I think we're
move on to the next round.
We're gonna take.
We're hitting this at of roughly the 20-minute markers. So every 20 minutes, I think we're off to the next one. So
off to the races.
You
almost got your hand slapped there.
While we're in this transition phase, I would have mentioned speaking of friendly environments and people around here. I just had some chocolate out of this beautiful bowl, and you said that you
right here, Britt. There's the business card is right in the
candy
center
shop.
Let me mention my friend across the street at the old market candy shop, Mike. Mike, he's been over there. I want to say probably 10 years, 15 years, crafting chocolates and all these tasty little treats. But
that's got to be a nice place, a business to have across the street from you. Really,
absolutely. What we're doing here, having a and
for sure.
Cleaning the palate. And
I literally just had a chocolate, and then I tried some more of the
chocolate.
It was great.
Isn't it great? It just really cleanses your palate, with the water and the chocolate, and it just cleans it.
And that chocolate had a little bit of citrus on it, like almost like orange peel flavor.
It very well could have.
Yeah, and it was nice.
So I've got here. I brought these for you two in particular in celebration of Nebraska. We got a Nebraska chocolate.
Nice. All right. It's shaped like Nebraska. That's beautiful.
And then these two little items here. These are chicken legs. They aren't quite turkey legs, but they would make them bigger. But celebration of turkey.
Kind of reminds me of going. What's the pumpkin patch that you go? Vala's.
Yeah,
with
Vala's.
the big huge leg.
Like a red. It's very just a huge. Yeah. Oh man. For sure. No, those. Wow, delicious.
Oh. Outstanding.
Is this next? Is this what we're doing next?
I think we go to Kentucky now.
You want to go to Kentucky?
My favorite distillery, the Buffalo Trace Distillery.
I'm ready to go. I'll go
some
to Kentucky.
Blantons. We gotta talk about the Blantons.
Nice. Is that part of Buffalo Trace?
Buffalo Trace has basically all my favorite whiskey.
Yeah. Well, so what I've heard, because those of you that are big bourbon fans, I've heard. So Pappy Van Winkle is like the Shangri-La, the Taj Mahal, exactly. And actually, I've had some. I did a flight of that out at Proof, and it's fantastic. But what doesn't make the cut for Pappy is Weller, and you can find Weller around town. It's a good whiskey or a bourbon. But then I heard after Weller, then it becomes Buffalo Trace.
Yeah,
is that accurate?
I think so. Buffalo Trace by the largest probably produced product I think out of their distillery. We went a couple of years ago down to Bardstown and went to the distillery because of particularly this. We have an opportunity every year. We select a bourbon and we select a cask and we have them bottle it for us. And that's what we're dealing with right now.
Right.
That's what Blanton's is. This
is I like that you actually have your label on this one. This is nice.
Yeah. This is us.
Yeah, this is very, very cool. I like it.
Yeah, this is us. We got a barrel. Got probably.
And you can only get that here.
This particular one, this single barrel, you can only get this here.
Nice.
And I think we had like 50 cases, 300 bottles, maybe the more. Was it more?
240.
Was it 240? There
240.
you go.
And this is by, you said Buffalo Trace?
Yeah.
So Buffalo Trace Distillery creates this product. They do Buffalo Trace, the E.H. Taylors, the Eagle Rare, the Patty, all that.
We're kind of familiar with Buffalo Trace.
When you get to the 10-year, when we did the Buffalo Trace, we were up around 300 bottles because it's a bit younger. Yeah. This is 10 years, so you lose a little bit more in the barrel.
It's I would say a hair darker or lighter than the Signet that we just had. Not a whole lot, but it's still a pretty good finish on there.
Blanton's
was my favorite.
Is not that, I mean, relatively it's not particularly old.
Right, but for a 10-year.
For a 10-year?
This is dark for a 10-year.
But this Blanton's was homage to Colonel Blanton, who was the owner of the distillery at the time. And Elmer T. Lee was the master distiller. And so he said, to homage to Mr. Blanton, Colonel Blanton, we're going to make this.
Nice. Well, before we...
Cheers.
Launch it.
Cheers.
Ooh, yeah. A little sting up the front, but
it's a 10-year, so it's not as smooth. But yeah, this is there's a little bit of a bite up front, but not too bad. It's kind of warming.
Hits like either side of your tongue.
Right. Yeah. It's all over. It gets it's that corn.
Yeah.
It's that corn in it. You know, when we were talking to Signet, this is a barley.
It's good though. If you wouldn't have said it was a Buffalo Trace, I would have probably said, "Hey, this is right around the Buffalo Trace family." We know the Buffalo Trace. Spirit World has Buffalo Trace make their own whiskey for them, I believe. Yeah. That's awesome that you guys can go and do that sort of. It's great that anyone can go do that sort of thing. You know, I want to buy a couple casks. You know, and boom, make my own stuff.
And the fun thing about this, you're talking single barrels.
Yeah.
So each one tastes
unique,
a lot different than the other one, and so you get to pick the one you like the best.
I'm gonna need some more of that.
That must have been a rough day.
Time.
Yeah, it was a very rough day.
It takes a lot of time,
particularly for Blanton's. Blanton's Colonel Blanton and Elmer T. Lee. They would call it the honeycomb, the honey whiskey. Out of a rick house, you have different levels in the rick house and different depths. Blanton's is all pulled from the middle, which is the optimum place in which if you're buying or trying to get a whiskey, that middle spot, it's the honey spot.
Well, are you talking when they so the head, the heart, and the tail? That heart, is that what you're talking about?
No, when you're talking about the distilling process.
Yeah.
And the storage,
the rick house. The rick house.
So gotcha. All that is right here on this bottle. So it says when it was dumped on. It says where it was stored in the warehouse. It says that it was filtered and bottled by hand number 43. It was barrel number 210. I mean, it gives you all that information right on the front of the bottle. That's pretty cool.
You think about how accurate they need to be, which is incredible. I mean, they're dumping hundreds of barrels every day.
Sure.
And to particularly take this and go, we're dumping specifically for Havana Garage, and we have to make sure that everything's accurate, right?
Right.
But in the rick houses, which is fun, the rick houses, I don't know if you've ever been into one.
I've not, no.
It's not built for a tall guy like me. They're they might be the first level barrels, ground or a little bit up off the ground. The next one might only be 5 feet. And the next one might be another 5 foot.
People were a lot smaller back then when they were building them, right?
they might have been.
Well, speaking of spilling barrels, what was the whiskey warehouse that broke down?
Weller was.
Shada Bing.
Yeah, that was Buffalo Trace, wasn't it?
Speaking of doing our own barrels, right? 1792, it's been called Ridgemont Reserve. It's been called Ridgewood Reserve. Now it's small batch. Yep. They had a collapse.
They had a rick house collapse. Yep. A sad day.
Yeah, half of it went, and then the other half went.
You see the news article and just almost tear up.
Yeah. You're like, I would have run into that other one, and I would have taken them out.
I think there were many people running into the disaster to save barrels.
Yeah. Right? So I think everybody that had a forklift in town was there.
I will help, I swear.
So they didn't lose all the barrels.
Right.
I don't think they lost many at all, actually. But
I think they lost a fair amount, but in proportion. Yeah, in proportion to what they had.
20,000, I think, is what they had in there.
Right.
8,000 on the first when the wall collapsed.
Right.
And then about a week later, the rest collapsed.
And
that's actually our next barrel now.
Shading. Right. Great segue. The claps. We were offered a barrel, and we said, "Oh gosh, I don't know. We just got done doing the blends. We've done the Buffalo Trace. We did Knob Creek. All these are all beautiful." And we were kind of sitting on the fence, and we heard the claps, and it's like, "Oh yeah, all right, guys, we're doing one. Now we're doing one." So we just actually tasted it last week, and we selected our barrel, and so we'll be getting the 1792. I imagine probably in April or May.
That sounds
nice.
Right.
And it's actually got quite a story behind it now.
Yeah,
too.
that's totally super cool.
Yeah, this one survived.
Right. You know, Mick, me, and Pete. Pete's not with us, but we actually went down there and actually saved this barrel from all the tragedy.
Like you physically went down there?
Yeah, we physically went down there and saved
wrapped it in a blanket.
We were
cuddling
it.
A file because my back.
Yeah, we cuddled this barrel out of the disaster.
The nice thing about that one that I really like, we are getting it at an uncut proof. It's 62.5%, so you get to taste a true product.
Boy.
And then you can add a little water yourself.
Yeah. Anything that high, you have to add a little just to mellow it out a little
But right
bit.
before that, you get to taste the true product.
For sure. But which is going to sting a little bit just because of
on the
proof.
first sip, but it works in.
Yeah. I just want to let you know.
No
There's
worries.
just a lot of noise going on. We usually have music going on in the background in our ears, and I just cut it out just because there was so much other noise and other things going on. So I just
People
cut it
walking
out.
around.
Britt's looking at me like, what happened to the music?
Do we need some music? Do you want some music?
No.
No, we're
We
good.
pipe it through the ears. Just
Yeah.
you know, there's sometimes a lull spot every once in a while.
That and
We just-
copyright
Not
laws
with
and
this
all that. We
group.
have
I
to,
mean, we're like,
No, we're doing just fine.
yeah, we have no lulls here. We're just talking.
yeah, we're good.
Exactly.
I did, now that we've taken a little break and gone to the barrel that you guys bought, I do want to kind of bring the conversation back to Havana Garage a little bit, because we really haven't talked a lot about Havana Garage other than you've got cigars
humidor.
and the humidor.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do, I'm assuming you were a cigar smoker.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. So having SG Roy Tobacconist here down in town.
Oh, yeah, which is another one of your businesses, which we didn't get into.
Which is a high-end premium cigar store, and it's the actual facility's been here since 1981. I'm the third owner. I've had it for 20 years. It was a passion of mine when I used to travel corporately. I would go to cigar stores rather than going to bars when I had time off. So, say I'm out in Seattle, Washington, I'd go to a cigar store. Washington, D.C., I'd go to a cigar store rather than going to a bar waiting for the next appointment or whatnot. And so you just get this culture again. You know, we come back to this whole theme of I enjoy meeting people, and you start establishing lifelong relationships with people and friends that you have, and so that's what a cigar store really does. I mean, it's you're there, you're talking politics or sports or whatever crazy stuff's going on in the world.
Because as you're enjoying a cigar, there's time.
You're enjoying a cigar, or maybe you might be smoking your tobacco pipe, and you're just relaxing, because that's all it is you're just hanging out and relaxing.
It almost forces you to relax.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
It does force you to relax. I mean, it's not like smoking a cigarette, you know. But when the opportunity came about back in 2009, when the state of Nebraska passed a law to allow for a cigar bar, I said, well, my goodness, if anyone's going to compete with me, it's going to be me.
Right.
So literally, I mean,
and you'd have the bar, you'd have the Nifty at that point, because you said 2007.
yeah,
so you'd already had the
the
bar,
Nifty,
and then you had the cigar shop.
Oh, I've had that, like I said, 20 years. So I'm looking at this going, well, my goodness, I'm going to compete with myself. But I didn't know how close I was going to compete, which has been great. I mean, we're literally, I don't know, 100 feet away, maybe. 100 feet.
A stone's throw away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good 54
Has there been a lot
wedge.
of cross? Do you get customers at both?
Yeah, we get a lot of cross pollination, and it's great. You know, the times that they're not open at the retail store at SG Roy, we're open here because of course we're open till 2 a.m. So anyone
and that's something I wanted to talk about, like your hours at each one of your places. It's just like how do you sleep?
That's what we were talking earlier. I don't really sleep much.
What's that?
I need to try and sleep. I need to try and sleep. Roy. 500 different brands that we carry and sizes.
Double the size of this one.
Yeah, we're double the size of this. And we've got a humidor down in the basement where we've got a tremendous amount of stock as well. And that industry is a very family-oriented industry. No different than when you get into the single malt scotches or the bourbons. Everything's family-oriented. So I guess it's that gravity that I've really found myself in, is that I really gravitate towards these family-oriented style businesses. I mean, mothers and fathers and sons and daughters vertically integrated, and just a great time. And then when we said, hey, let's, the law passed, we said, well, let's open up Havana Garage. And I remember people asking me, Havana Garage, what's that? I said,
It's a cool place to hang out. That's what it is.
And so it was going to be a great place, and so I got the name honestly just from the love of Havana, where the Cuban cigar is kind of the reigning king.
And at the time there was still the embargo.
They still have the embargo, but in the space we're in, there's a garage door. So what I'm going to say, we're Havana Garage. And absolutely, and I still get these auto import and auto parts magazines for us.
I get phone calls all the time.
Are you guys a chop shop?
Asking me about brakes. Right. Like, I think you're misunderstood. You can come here while your brakes are getting fixed.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it is.
Well, and a win-win for you. They just created that song, Havana.
Right.
So they go, like, oh yeah, that place down there.
So it's been good to us. It's been very good to us. It's a great place. I mean, again, we'll have live music here. We always have live music on Friday, Saturday nights. No cover charge,
nice,
which is great.
It's not a full band. It's more just like one guy.
No. I mean, we get 3, 4, sometimes 5 pieces.
We've had
some. Wow, that's great.
In there.
And
tight space.
Yeah, we get tight, but we love each other.
That's the whole point of community.
Is there a style of music that you like here, particularly?
Blues.
All right.
Big in the blues. Omaha Blues Society. Great people. Just blues. Nothing. We have some little rock, and we have some not so rock. Some folk, but mostly the blues avenue. I love blues.
Oh yeah.
Some of my favorite. Gary Clark Jr. was here in town a couple of weeks ago. I went to go see Gary Clark Jr. and had a chance to actually talk to him for a brief moment, and I wanted to get him down here.
I was in Memphis a couple ago, and that was my most favorite part was just going out to the bars and hearing the blues.
Yeah, down Beale Street. Beale Street.
Yeah. I was down there pretty much every night.
Well, it's a great place to be.
It was a walk from the hotel. It was no
Don't
big deal.
forget about the jazz.
The jazz.
We got the Dapper Kings playing every first Thursday.
It's blues and jazz genre is very big. Matt Wallace is a really good friend of ours, and Matt is a jazz perfectionist, a saxophone player. The house band is Cuban Missile Crisis.
Nice.
A good friend of ours, Joey Glitz. Timpan is. It's that inverted drum, and it's steel. It's a steel drum.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Joey.
That's what it's actually called, though. Is it Tim? That's the actual name of it.
Yeah, and
cool.
steel drum. You see, it's more. It's a Caribbean drum.
Right.
And Joey and his brother are musical gods here in Omaha. And
I went and saw one of their shows one time.
Yeah,
they're good guys.
Super cool. So it's Joey and my friend Michael Pojada. Michael is a percussionist and a conga player, and then Matt Wallace on the sax. And so that was Cuban Missile Crisis. That was the first band we ever had in.
That's awesome.
And I told him, I said, you guys got to get a name. What's your name? You just can't be Joey.
You got to announce, hey, it's these guys.
You can't be these guys. It can't be just Joey, Michael.
Guys.
And they said, well, we're Cuban Missile Crisis. And I said, oh,
beautiful.
My gosh, that's perfect.
Exactly.
So they play around Omaha. They play here, and then of course, and then through Matt, it's jazz as well, and so
I need to hook you up with. Have you ever heard of Andrew Bailey? He used to play for the Jazz Holes.
I do know of the Jazz Holes, but I do not know him.
He's back in town. He was in New York for a while, but now he's back in town. I got to get you guys hooked up. He could just sit in the corner and strum a guitar, and you're just like, I'm going to sit here and watch it for hours.
It's crazy. Omaha is that way. You get all these great musicians, and they leave for a while.
Yep.
And then they come back. Mm-hmm. Another great one.
More experience.
Much more experience. Mm-hmm. Dave Stryker is another gentleman who's a absolute musician. But the Glitzia brothers, and I'm going to say Matt used to play. I can't be specific now what Matt used to play with, but he toured with Maynard Ferguson. He used to tour with Maynard Ferguson. So I mean, all these guys they left. Can come back, and now, Omaha. And
it's Omaha. You leave, you're going to come
back.
That's
right.
I think that we have like this untapped, just potential here that people just don't know about. So people think Omaha flyover country.
Right. And that's why when they come in Havana Garage and you start seeing, okay, now we got live music, we got jazz, we got blues, and we've got cigars, and we've got all this whiskey and. Yeah, it's amazing.
Speaking of, while we're getting the next drink here, so we talked about the cigars. We talked about the whiskey selection that you have here.
Yep.
You also have beer on tap.
Beer on tap.
So what kind of taps do you have here?
What's so much fun? And we're
fair amount of taps,
but they're all good.
Yeah,
they're all great.
But taps have been here since the very beginning. Have never changed.
Not once.
4 taps. That's amazing.
What are those taps?
Those are seasoned.
Yeah.
All right.
Guinness, obviously.
Yeah.
Stella.
Nice.
The St. Bernard's.
ABT.
The ABT 12.
Yeah.
Gotta have it. And the Weihenstephan Hefeweizen.
Yeah. So Sean actually had me taste a little bit of that, the St. Bernard's. Oh my goodness!
Oh, that's an old school Abbey Ale.
Man, that is there's like cherry notes. It's well, fruit. Yeah. So so basically, it's healthy to drink because it's a fruit cocktail in a glass.
9.2%, I think maybe
10%.
Oh yeah, 10%. It's healthy.
That's what I have with my coffee in the morning.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not really.
And then the other 4 taps have been, and Mick manages that, and he does a great job, and it's difficult as hell because we only have 4, but he's rotating in, all the local guys.
We do the Weihenstephan. That's the oldest brewery in the world. And then we do the red lager, the Havana Garage lager.
So let me talk about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. While we're pouring the next one, let's talk about the Havana Garage.
I think we do
beer.
this one next.
Because we just got back. We just got done with the Havana Garage.
Britt and I are going to keep that one.
All right, maybe we'll have some more later.
That didn't happen. That just went away. Yeah.
The red lager was something you worked with Zach over at Brickway with.
Yeah. Here again, Zach has been great friend.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love his story. It's unbelievable. Just
like we can talk a little bit about it. I can't do it justice, but
just to sum it up and real quick, for me, he used to own Lucky Bucket, and then he sold Lucky Bucket, moved to Scotland, got his master's in brewing and distilling, moved back to Omaha. It's just who does that? That's amazing.
So I'm going to tell you, just having known him a while.
So like a food scientist for beer, though, right?
He's a chemist, and he was up in school up in Minnesota, and his mother, oh God, Zach, I love you. And his mother was so disappointed because they had somebody from the beer industry come into their chemistry class and talk about making beer. Mm-hmm. And I think some spark just fired off in his head.
That's what I want to do.
I think that's what I'm going to do. Masters in it, and then started Brickway.
I mean,
if you're going to Mr. MD,
masters in distilling. Where else are you going to do? Scotland, of course.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so here again, I was talking to him and said, "Hey, listen, I need you to make me a beer."
Yeah.
What do you mean make you a beer? I said, "No, make me a beer." Mm-hmm. My childhood memory of being in college and having hardly any money, and you wanted to go high grade. You went Anchorstein. Anchorstein was the beer, and so I said, "I want this lager and the beer." And
you said Anchorstein, I would have said Pepsi Blue Ribbon. That was me.
I had at that time, I think I could scrape together $7. I went to school over in Iowa, so it was like 50. You had the 5 nickel can return, and I think we'd scrape it together after drinking generic beer.
So when I turned 21, I was living in Montana, and I was living on a resort in Montana. And
they have resorts in Montana.
They do. Big Sky Ski Resort.
And now you're skiing. Okay.
Yeah, snowboarder, but. Anyway, you could buy an 18-pack or a 24-pack, a cube. You could buy a cube for $18. And you're like, how is it so cheap?
How's anybody making any money?
I think they're offering the guy who drives the truck like a free pass, like a ski pass. Like, as long as you deliver the beer, let's make it as cheap as possible, because then we'll sell all of it for you. But yeah, that's Pabst. I grew up on Pabst.
I want to go back to the beer a little bit, just because we have a friend that we've kind of made through the podcast that actually works at Brickway. He's one of the brewers there. And I reached out to him when I heard about the Havana lager, and I said, "Hey, tell me everything you know about it." And it ended up, it was before it started there, but he reached out to the guys that knew about it.
Right.
And what I found interesting, because you own Rathskeller and that it has German Karma Red, which gives it the red flavor. I was like, so now you have the Havana lager with German malt in it.
And
I'm
that
like,
crazy?
that is just, I was like, how many ways is he tying in?
When we started this, we all said we're just a mashup of everything.
We're just a mashup. It was, again, I was just telling Zach, I said, "Hey, listen, I really, and this was when the brewery just started, and he was getting his legs up underneath him, and of course, I'm, asking him to do some of this, into maybe exactly what he wanted to do, because he wanted to focus a little bit more direct with distribution. I said, we're going to make a great beer here. Let's create something around this anchor steam kind of design, this red lager. Let's make this lager. Because he was focusing on, his pale ales and trying to get, the beers right, and he didn't have a lager. I said, let's do this.
Well, and so that was like 2014.
Yeah, that would have been right around there.
So, is that still available? And do you guys have it on tap here?
We have it on tap here, and we have it on tap with the Rathskeller, and we have it on tap with the Nifty.
Okay, nice.
So yeah,
let everybody try it.
Let everybody try it.
Yeah.
It's an incredible, like you talk about, just a pale ale being a great session.
But it's a red.
Beer.
It's a red.
It has a reddish, has a more amber, that amber look.
Yeah.
And it's a just incredibly great
drinkability.
Beer.
Yeah. What do you know? The alcohol content, is it like a lower? Is it high? I mean, usually lagers are pretty low.
It's just over 5.
So yeah,
about
so
5.5
on the high end of a session beer.
Yeah.
So you can that's a pretty good drink.
It's and we saw a lot of it.
Nice.
We saw a lot
That's
of it.
good.
It's just a great drinkable beer.
Nice. All right. So
speaking of drinks,
what are we
on to
drinking?
the next one?
Another dark one.
I poured this when we were talking about jazz.
Jazz.
For the Rat Pack and all
there you go.
the Sinatra, Jack
Perfect.
Daniels.
Look how much darker this is.
Oh, it's so much darker.
So
Cheers,
this is the
Brian.
one. Yeah. So this is the one that I'm a little.
Right, you were talking to
Yeah.
someone earlier about.
So me and Jack got in a fight a long time ago, and this is a Jack Daniels. This is the Sinatra Select. So I'm interested.
So this is an homage.
This is
obviously.
nothing compared to just regular old Jack Daniels.
Obviously, to Sinatra, it's aged longer.
There is Jack has Jack and Johnny have distinct flavor profiles.
Right.
This does not have any Jack Daniels flavor profile.
So it doesn't have the caramel added to it. They burn the barrel so much that it creates grooves in it. So it gets exposed to so much more oak.
Oh, yeah.
So much more burn oak. So you get more of the caramel. It's aged a bit longer. And being
kind of
exposed to more staves, it even makes it seem like it's older, even though it's not.
Right. Which is because of the surface area of the.
So they're literally cut into the staves.
Man, this is. Wow, you have changed my mind on Jack
nice.
from this. This is wow.
They've got some good products out.
I used to smell Jack Daniels and just like, oh man, that just brings me right back to that day. And I was
Think how smooth this is. It's
This
got
is
that.
no Jack and Coke.
Oh
no.
It has a really like a dark cherry kind of flavor right up the front, right on the end of your tongue.
So yeah, as if you inhale as you're sipping it,
Right.
you get the cherry right up front.
Yeah.
It's man, yeah.
So last night at Ramada on 72nd, there was an Elvis show, and I was actually running that show.
No way.
I do AV on the side.
No way. There was an Elvis show there.
How did I hear about this?
So there was an Elvis show, and people were doing, not just Elvis. They were Johnny Cash.
Sure,
they were doing the whole bit. Well, they let me drink on site. They were like, yeah, drink whatever. You just as long as you're not messing up, pressing the buttons. And I was drinking Jack and Cokes and Jack and Sours.
Yeah.
And this is way better than what I was drinking before.
I would never drink Jack Daniels regular by itself.
I'm going to tell you what, this is, you went from Jack to just Jack Single Barrel. Jack Single Barrel's good. But I'm going to tell you what, this is the idea behind the Rat Pack. I mean, we're very much into the Rat Pack, the whole idea of Frank Sinatra and that whole theme, because Havana, Cuba, you think back in the 60s, this is when the Rat Pack and all those guys, Dean Martin, Joey Bishop, this was their thing, Sammy Davis Jr., this is their thing, and so Havana was a big part of that. So it really kind of blends into what we are and who we're, our identity. And so homage again to Frank Sinatra and what those guys were doing at that time, that we always celebrate Jack's birthday, and actually every year we celebrate Emperor's birthdays, not as big, but Frank's the big.
Yeah.
And so December 12th. So down here at Havana Garage, Wednesday, December 12th.
Oh, it's coming right up.
Coming right up, right around the corner, and we're celebrating, Frank Sinatra's birthday.
That's awesome.
Nice. What do you got going on for that?
I mean, people get dressed up.
Oh, yeah.
Tuxedos. I've been in here with a tuxedo.
Yeah.
And you really give, homage again to the chairman of the board. Right?
You're halfway there.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
I see my jacket.
Like Sinatra karaoke going on.
Not much Sinatra karaoke. We sometimes we do Frank Sinatra trivia. I don't know. Are we gonna do that again this year? Because that's cool as hell.
Absolutely,
that's cool as
trivia.
hell.
The Dapper Kings are playing, and they do Rat Pack style music.
Nice.
They
probably a couple
up,
homages for the night.
Yeah.
And what do we have? Are we giving away a barrel?
We have a barrel.
Giving
upstairs.
away a barrel.
Whoa, well, hold on.
Now,
so if I come here on December 12th, I could potentially win a barrel.
An evaporated
An empty barrel.
Oh,
All right.
barrel. But nonetheless,
it's a Jack Daniels barrel.
Nice.
We're doing tickets to go in. You do a flight of Jack Daniels, the single barrel.
So this is a big promotion event for you guys. I mean,
you throw a ticket in there.
Yeah.
We'll do more tickets that night.
Are you guys going to have a band?
Yes.
Are they going to be singing Frank Sinatra?
The Dapper Kings, they do Rat Pack music.
There you go. Nice.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and people get dressed up. I mean, that's what we really encourage. Get dressed up, come in, and pay tribute to Frank Sinatra because he changed a lot of things.
I have two of his records, and I love playing those records.
Original records.
I mean, you look original records.
Original.
Yeah,
that's incredible. You look around inside the pictures that you see up on the walls, not down here where we're at in the basement, but upstairs. You see, I've got an original of the Frank Sinatra and all the boys, with poker chips and flamingo, and I mean, it's gorgeous stuff.
Yeah,
and it's a period of history that a lot of us don't think about much because so many other things going on in our lives.
The greatest generation.
Yeah. But you come here and you kind of get just a little moment of time where you see some of these famous movie stars and what they did and kind of how they changed the culture of our life. And so I think it's a fabulous tribute.
Nice.
It's fun, and you hear music you don't hear every day, right?
Absolutely.
It's also fun for me because I get to hear things that I didn't grow up with,
right?
And I get to live back into what it used to be like, and experience it a a little bit.
I mean, hear Dean Martin sing Amore. I mean, who doesn't love that? I mean,
that's Amore.
That's Amore, right?
Like a big pizza pie.
Yeah, because you've had too much wine.
Exactly. Thankful to my grandmother. When she passed on, I inherited this record player, the cabinet record player, and she left all of her records, and a few of them were Frank Sinatra. She loved to dance, and I was just like, wow. That's a great find. That's
tough. That stuff's cool.
She's what was it? Is it Cha Cha? Is that what she?
She was big as back when they had Penny Park. They had the ballroom there. The girls used to love to go dance.
Back in the 50s, that was huge. 50s, 60s, there, that was the deal.
Oh yeah.
So I'm surprised that went under. I mean, it was a cool little park in the middle of the city.
There, I saw Blondie there.
Really?
Yeah.
Saw Blondie there.
Interesting.
Saw the Neville brothers play there.
Nice.
And Sprite Night.
Sprite Night at Penny Park.
Penny Park.
Yeah, right.
Going back to the barrel real quick. So I have a little story on that. So that friend that we have that works at Brickway, they were giving away barrels, or not really giving away, but they were selling off some of their barrels, and he had saved me Brickway Barrel 1, and I'm like, awesome, I am there. But by the time I got there, somebody had snagged. So he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I was gonna say. I was going to talk to Zach and be like, Zach, are you sure this is barrel 1 for you guys?
Right. It should be sitting up like on a
exactly. He's
shelf
like, no,
somewhere.
he doesn't want it.
Thank
but he ended up finding me the Epic Blackout Stout Barrel 2, and I'm like, all right. So that actually sits in our studio. Nice. It's one of the centerpieces of our studio is the barrel.
Sits in the background.
Yeah, love it. And it's got a little bit of that Epic Blackout Stout still in there. And I talked to him and I said, hey, is this still good? He's
probably
like, it's probably oxidized, but it's probably drinkable. Like they're like,
no.
So we'll see.
We're not gonna correct.
18% alcohol. Right. I mean, it's a high content beer. So we'll see.
It has really taken on to the wood flavor.
Yeah,
right. It's been in here for a while.
You're scraping outside the barrel.
Exactly.
That's pretty fabulous, right?
Oh, it's fabulous.
So honestly, it changed my mind on Jack Daniels. This is awesome.
I think I need a little more.
The other thing, it's right there.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to get through the Balvenie before? Because you got a peated scotch here.
I think I need a little bit of this, just a little taste more, just
for
Frank.
All right, just for Frank.
Just for Frank and the guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Just to remember something that we do for Sinatra night. 10 to 11 o'clock, half price top shelf.
My gosh.
Oh, this is that Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
This is the freak joint time. you're into
So
it.
you think about some of those whiskeys that you maybe haven't tried before because it's a little pricey. They're 20, 25, 30 years old.
Half price.
Half price.
For what was
For
the hours again?
1 hour.
10 to 11. All
11.
right.
Which
Map
kinda-
it out.
So you're losing money, but you're gaining customers. Is what you're doing on that.
It's an opportunity for people to try stuff they might not try.
That's great.
It's Christmas time. And when we did this, we said, let's give people an opportunity to try something that they may not normally try. Well, we just happened to acquire a bottle from that company,
Which is one of I love Balvenie.
the Balvenie.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into that a little bit, but let's go on
we're
this.
still-
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're still Then we'll get into that.
But I like your guys' take on the half price thing. Casual Pint is actually one of the sponsors of our show.
Oh,
Yeah, love those guys. David's awesome down there. But one of my favorite things is they have a mystery beer, and it's discounted. It's only $4 instead of $600-$700. And they don't tell you what it is.
until the tap's, he tells you once the tap is done.
Yeah.
Then he'll tell. Or once
Then
the
he
keg
tells
is
kind of
done.
breaks you out of your comfort
Well,
zone.
and you can get on Facebook and say, hey, I think it's this.
Yep.
If you're right, he'll give you the next mystery beer for
nice.
free.
That's fun.
I love
I know.
it.
That is fun.
That's so cool,
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Good. Yeah.
You might steal that.
No, do a mystery scotch. Do a mystery bourbon, you know, and don't show them what you're pouring and say, hey, this is the mystery, You like it? You don't like it?
I love it.
Yeah. Try something new.
Great place, though.
It is.
Great
It is.
little place.
I-
Small town in the city.
Again, it is.
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not very big at all.
Well, I
It's right
tell
up
people
the street
it's-
from my house. So
Well,
there all
that's
the time.
convenient for you.
I when people ask me about it, I always say it's like a coffee shop for beer because that's kind of. I mean, it's got
Beer.
games. It's got this chill atmosphere. It's
That's a great
don't-
description of it.
We don't know anything about coffee shop to beer.
No.
I did want to kind of bring the conversation back a little bit about. I had a bunch of questions
Talk
here
about this place. Sure.
Yeah. So we had talked about the cigars, and we talked about Cuba, and I want. Why don't we talk a little bit about what happened when the embargo was lifted on Cuba? Because I've heard some things on the cigar because they at one time during the embargo they were the ones, but the embargo was so long.
It's not lifted.
See,
It takes an act of Congress to actually lift the embargo.
so I thought
What President Obama tried to do was trying to relax the laws to allow people to bring Cuban cigars to America.
right.
And all products.
And all products. But specifically, as we talk about cigars, that they relaxed it to allow people to bring more cigars in. I don't know the status, honestly, to know if they're going to try and relax that anymore. I think they still have problems. I mean,
they are in Michigan.
they are.
I don't know. They just legalized marijuana in Michigan or something like that. So I would assume you could have Cubans there now.
Well, we can drive over to Iowa, apparently. If we got a script, we can go get that.
Dispensary.
Right. But specifically to Cuba, we've tried to, here amongst ourselves, we tried to get a trip together to actually go down there, which would be fun. I've never been. It bothers me a little bit because knowing so many of the guys in the tobacco industry and all their families got ruined. They're ruined.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, they were ruined.
Because it was how long?
After
That embargo's been in
after-
force for a long.
62.
Yeah, 62.
Man.
After Batista, who was our guy through the CIA, he was our guy. Our guy, and the mafia's guy.
Yeah.
Then Fidel came in with him and Cesar Chavez, and they cleansed Cuba, and they got
Hugo
rid
Chavez, right?
of and they got rid of all of that,
Man.
and they kicked everybody out. And they,
No, he meant Hugo Boss. It was in the cologne.
yeah,
No,
right.
it's not
Hugo
that.
and not only was just tobacco industry, but Bacardi rum
Oh, sure.
was excommunicated out of the country. So there, many things. And
Havana Club.
Havana Club, right? Which so for me is I have really mixed feelings about us trying to, really trying to establish anything when there's a Castro involved, and we're still there.
That's a horrible thing to say when there's a Castro involved.
Well, that's not. I mean,
it's a true statement, though.
He's a dictator. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean I don't care. You can put pastry around it. It's still the same thing.
When you polish a turd, it's
You
still,
know what's amazing though? What's amazing? I want you to think about this when you look at Cuba. It's like, okay, it's just not the U.S. being interested in being there. They have relations with Spain, Europe, why aren't these other countries investing in them? Think about
because
that.
we're in proximity.
Yeah,
Probably because
but Spain could spend $10 million
We're a
and
boat
go
right
buy.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, they could. I mean, you look at the infrastructure is horrible, but there's no reason why
they're still driving cars from like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah,
down
they're
there,
still
right?
borrowing
I
cars.
love it. I want to kind of move down there and drive one of those
It's an
cars.
inventor's dream.
Yeah,
It's an
exactly.
inventor's dream to actually
car
craft
mechanic's
it.
dream
Right.
down there. Yeah.
You know, they should. Great point. They could be doing a car mechanic show down there. It'd be huge.
Yeah.
But then Cash would want a piece of it.
Well, they probably
Exactly.
run forever because they're not run on computers.
Right,
You know?
right.
Like the cars nowadays.
So when we get back to the tobacco embargo, the embargo is still in force.
I've heard that like places like Jamaica actually makes it a fantastic
Jamaica
cigar.
be crazy?
Jamaica has a great place you can go. Yeah, absolutely they do. But if you want a true Cuban, easiest place to do is go up to Canada. Honestly, that's all 100% Cuban cigars. You go up to Canada, bring the cigar back, you're fine. No big deal.
My father-in-law, he's a really truthful man, and he was stopped at the border, and they were like, "Do you have anything?" And he's like, "Yes, I have Cuban cigars." I'm like, "Man, what are you doing? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I only have one.
But he gave him up, and I was just like, "Well, he asked me," and I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah. Back when I was in the military, we ended up going to Puerto Rico,
Right.
And they had them there, and so like our superiors were like, no more than a box, guys.
Right.
All right,
No more than a box.
Okay, statute of limitations gone. I used to go up there back in the
now you can bring back anything
late
you want.
80s, and I would go through Windsor, Canada, right out of Detroit because I was going to Detroit for business. Come
There you
back
go.
through Windsor. I'd have like 7 or 8 boxes I'd put in my suitcase.
Yeah, sure.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
Smoke them, sell them to friends.
Nice. Yeah,
But-
nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Yeah, it's just my socks.
Right, but it's just my socks. But we just can't do that, unfortunately. But people can if they do, which we can legally travel to Cuba now.
So
Still
now
travel.
you can bring back as
Well, we
many
have
as
a-
you
and
want.
you're still limited, I think.
Don't we have an embassy there now?
An
You just
embassy
can't
there?
sell them now.
Yeah.
You can bring back over 100 now.
Oh, can you?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
101, you're right out.
See, that's that's what I was.
It was 100,
Oh,
and
so
then
that's
they
what
changed
you're
the law.
talking
Now
about.
you can bring back as many as you would like.
Yeah,
Right.
you're
You
right.
just can't sell them.
Technically, the embargo is still in place, but
Yeah.
you're allowed to bring them back.
Was that-
It's that black.
So-
Yeah.
And then we'll I got some questions here after that, but yeah, let's get to the
So
Balvenie.
we've
'cause
done sweet. Now we're getting to the
the
smoky.
peated Scotch, which I did not know Balvenie made a peated Scotch.
That's because this is their first go.
It's their
with
first, yeah.
That's why I didn't know.
1 week. That's all they do.
Wow. I had no idea. So, for those of you that do not know what peated Scotch is, it's kind of an earthy dirt that they have the bogs where they pull this stuff out, and yeah, it's just it's a very unique, smoky, dirty flavor, which doesn't sound. I'm
Right.
not giving it like it's a flavor profile that people
Yeah.
like, and
It's
and,
a smoky iodine almost because you get a lot of the peat mosses around the ocean, so you get
Right.
salt water washing up onto it.
So peat moss is just ground. It's earth.
or a baseball player
Earth.
if you're.
People. Cha-ching. It is just literally ground, and there's only so much of it,
Yeah.
which makes it kind of a rare commodity, and
They're still using it for heat.
Well, I know they're still.
Yeah,
I know you
the
can still
logs
burn
burn
it,
great,
right,
yeah.
which is crazy because there's not much of it, but they still do.
So
But
100% malted
Yeah.
barley.
Yeah.
They dry it with the peat smoke, and that's what infuses that flavor into it.
and again, I saw that happen when I was over in Scotland. When where we were at, they were just peating some barley, and it was crazy.
Scotch.
Just one or two. And so all the barley was up on top, but down below, and when we toured, you could see them. They had the fires, and they were stoking. They had all the peat down there, and they just lighting them on fire. And that's what they're doing is they're letting this smoke come up through the barley, and it was pretty much it wasn't an open air. It was pretty enclosed, so they're getting as much of it in there as possible.
Nice.
But it was
Well,
crazy.
While he's pouring that, I do have summer, and my brother-in-law just got his sommelier.
Oh.
I took him.
Fancy.
Yeah, I know. Well, so I was like, dude,
Congratulations, brother-in-law.
yeah,
Exactly, right?
So I said,
It's a lot of wine drink.
A lot of wine.
and he wanted to go on a brewery distillery tour with me. So I'm like, let's do this. And I'm like, I know the technical or the all the flavor profile and all that. He was like way beyond. So we went to Maine Craft Distilleries. Awesome place. They did an interesting. They had a carrot spirit, which was interesting. But anyway,
totally interesting. I love that.
Right. Yeah. Right. So here, one of the more interesting things that really shocked me, besides the carrot spirit, was that Maine actually has peat.
Yes, they do.
And they so they use seaweed. Yep. And, so they use seaweed with the peat, and then that's how they smoke out and dry out their malted barley and all that. And I found it fascinating.
I think they use that in some of their fishing processes as well.
Probably because we got to witness some of the process, and I actually got pictures if you want to see it afterwards. But they got like this old wood-fired stove from like the 30s or 40s, like cast iron, and that's what they throw seaweed and peat in there, and then they've got this huge cauldron where it's got the auger that churns all the grains in there.
Just turning the grain, and you got the seaweed, the smoke coming up from above.
Yep. That's super
it's like
cool.
You're thinking, this is a great science fiction movie.
It wasn't a room.
Right,
it wasn't a room like you went into. These are, it wasn't like this is Maine craft. So it was like just in Maine. So it was a lot smaller. The guy, most of the, they also have oak up in Maine. So they have oak barrels, local oak barrels.
Yeah, put those pictures out on.
I posted some. I have posted. I can show you those later. They're super interesting. And one of the coolest parts was they have a barrel room in their distillery. You go in there and they've got the production and all that. And there's a room that used to be like giant refrigeration. It had the huge, the door from like the refrigerator from like the 40s, you know. And so we walk into it and it's a room with like a 20-foot table, and they rent it out for like wedding parties and whatever. Room for all the barrels. And so we walk in there. He's like, oh crap, hold on, and he runs, and we're standing there in awe of everything around. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah. And so he comes back with several glasses and a long tube.
Oh, the long tube. Is that wait, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What's going on the long tube?
So yeah, he gets into a barrel and he's like, nope, not the front one. So he gets like to a back one and he pops it and he pulls it right out of there. That's fantastic.
That is, I've had that experience when we did the Knob Creek. Down as a group, and we did that. And so here's this guy.
Knob Creek. That's another great one.
I was here working.
Knob Creek's
they were down there.
And so here's this guy running around with this copper tube. And I'm going, what's going on?
Is a scientist running around here? Laboratory going on here?
Really good or really bad.
Pops the bum out, and there he is. I'm going, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then what's even more cool is he got accurately in the glasses, and then we were able to drink it.
Oh yeah. It was like 120 proof. I mean,
it's all rocket fuel.
Yeah, just like woo. He's like, here's some water if you want to add a little water.
So was that the same day that Brian went on this trip, and so we're like, we're not going to do Facebook at all. We're not going to do Drink Talk and all. And then I'm sitting at the folks' house for a Sunday dinner, and all of a sudden, Drink Talk's live. I'm like, no, we're not. And then it's him and his brother-in-law sitting, the sommelier, talking. Was that the same night?
It was the same. Yeah, it was the same night.
It was great, though. Yeah.
We got done there. We had a bunch of notes, and we get back to the house that we were at, and I was like, dude, everybody's asleep. I was like, you want to do an episode real quick? I've got notes. He's like,
it worked out great, though. Yeah. I wasn't on, but whatever. It's fine. It was a great episode. I sat and watched it.
And we had a sommelier on there.
So what show are we on, guys?
Drink Talk.
The episode. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Let's promote a little bit of Drink Talk.
Yeah. Thank you for hosting us here.
And I'm going to tell you what, Sean McGuire actually turned me on to you guys. I said, dude, we got to get on. These guys are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never seen a more casual show that has more information than I've seen. You guys are fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Unbelievable.
Thank you very much.
It's testimony to what we're doing tonight. I mean, we're all bored. We're doing a lot of stuff right here, but you guys have done a great job.
I'm glad you say that. We've actually had people come to us, and it's funny because if you get online and you go to like podcasts and you look at shows that are guys drink, it's a lot of like, fart jokes, essentially.
Boring.
And it's like you guys actually talk about stuff that's important, and you drink actually on the show, and that's the best part about it.
Sometimes we cheers this whiskey. taste it yet.
Exactly.
We were letting it breathe.
Exactly. Letting some air go.
It is breathing.
So cheers.
So what is this is the Balvenie
This is
peated.
Balvenie Peat Week.
All right.
Now this is weird for them. Again,
they don't do this.
Again,
man.
this is weird for
Right
them.
off the nose.
This is as strange as it gets for Balvenie. Balvenie was a Scotch that when I was in college we drank.
I would have if I would have
as weird.
If you would have blindfolded me, if I didn't know that this.
Rum.
Completely different
right?
to anything we were drinking tonight.
Oh yeah, I really like that. Start with Lagavulin.
Oh my gosh, no!
Do not start
You
with
will run for the hills.
Yeah.
You'll run for the hills.
It's not a huge fan, but I mean, I'm going to drink it, of
This
course.
is-
But interesting.
This is closer to like a space side almost.
Yeah.
It's
Well, Balvenie's a space side, but this is their first doing peated, where they're smoking the barley with the peat.
Right.
Usually it'd be a rum cask finish lighter.
Right.
14-year.
Well, you think about taking this and doing it in the rum cask, even after a peat, which would be pretty cool.
I hope they're
that'd be
listening. They
interesting.
should do that.
That'd be super interesting.
I remember in college.
And a garage label.
Wow, established 1892. They've been around for a while.
Super. Yeah, they're kind
They
of
did
old.
something cool a few years back, maybe a decade ago. Bought a bunch of land around their distillery to control their watershed.
Oh, nice.
So that they can
well,
control
water's
the
like
water
that's your
that's
number
going-
one ingredient.
Exactly.
Kind of sounds
their
like
lifeblood.
So now they control every part of their process.
kind of sounds like Ozarks. The show.
Well, that's a
Bought
great
up all
show,
the
by the
land.
way.
I love that
I
show.
love that show too.
You guys have
Buy up
time.
all the land.
You guys have time to watch shows?
Yeah, I got some
I
time.
do late at
Every
night.
now and again. Every now and
It's
again.
kind of a version of the blues, right?
Yeah, exactly. The blues.
I was driving that bus. Yeah.
Man, it's
But
great.
yeah, that is an interesting Balvenie product right there.
That which
Totally not what we've been drinking tonight. It's
That's why I
polar
feel we
opposite.
finish with that.
It's
I think that's great. You
Interesting.
think about it. That if you're a Balvenie guy and you like
I
Balvenie,
love Balvenie.
I do
The
too.
Caribbean cask.
Yeah,
is-
the
that's my
Caribbean.
favorite.
That's the 14-year.
That's one we're always out of course. But I think it's just great that these guys.
If you don't have it on your shelf,
Thanks for calling
get
me
it.
out.
Yeah.
I,
not you personally. I mean, like in private stock.
whoa.
Yeah, your private stock.
I think it's great that these companies embrace the ability to go outside their comfort zone. I mean, that's huge because now, granted, they're wanting to appeal to a different audience themselves, but to the point of, hey, we can make this. This is not Lagavulin making this stuff, which is great testimony to the ability of this company. I actually we weren't able to tour this company; they were closed today, but I drove through everything I could of Balvenie.
And I like their bottles.
They're sexy. Aren't those sexy?
Yeah, they are. And I so the taller bottles are hard to fit in the cabinets and all that.
They're much harder.
That fits real nice.
so
So-
speaking. Go ahead.
Speaking
I was
of-
speaking of bottles.
Sword fight.
Well, I was at the Elvis thing last night, and they actually had some Soldier Valley there. And they had Soldier Valley, the vodka, and the girls behind the bar that were serving it were complaining. They were like, "Well, could they get a bottle that actually has a handle on it so we can pour it?"
It's
and
a
I said,
canteen.
"I said, look at the bottle. It's a canteen." Yeah.
Again,
And they were like, "Oh my gosh, it is a canteen."
It even has the chain on it.
Trip to the
Hey,
guys in the military.
Sean, you want to turn the camera just a little bit?
It's
all right. No
I actually
worries.
just took a trip down to Kansas City with the
There you
little
go.
guys road
A
trip.
little too much.
Yeah.
And
Pull back.
the choice drink
There you
we
go. Perfect.
decided
Right there.
was
Right there.
vodka
Right there.
cranberry.
Right, vodka
That's
cranberry.
all we were drinking. So it was my job to get the vodka because they were like, well, you know a lot about alcohol. So then it ended up going that the two that I had to choose from were Svedka vodka and Patriarch Distilleries, which I'm a huge fan of. But I knew it's a group of guys, so I need to buy the 1.75
Right.
liter. The 1.75 liter of Patriarch Distillers is the World War I canteen,
Oh, you gotta
just
be kidding.
giant. And I'm
Is
like,
it-
you need like 2 or 3 hands just to pour this thing. you
I
know?
did not know that.
I don't have a hand to unscrew it.
Yeah.
I did not know that's
It's
what
huge.
it was.
Yeah,
I've
it's
not seen
huge.
that.
So I was like, well, I guess Svedka it is because like I
Guys,
yeah,
I
need to
didn't know I needed to
create a
hold-
harness for
I
this
didn't know I
thing.
needed a whole troop to carry the
Gather around. I have portions for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So No, but I love.
Yeah,
those
you were
guys.
about to say something.
Well,
Sorry.
what I was just going to mention is that, with the curation of cocktails, and it is a curation here, I should say, of scotches or liquors or whatnot we're doing. Balvenie, we just picked up a bottle of Balvenie.
Which one?
Mick?
Oh, it might be the Balvenie 40 year.
Holy buckets! Man,
Holy.
When are you going to buy the
holy
Macallan 60 next? Is that in the works?
I have no access to that auction. But
wow, Balvenie 40.
Balvenie 40.
Wow.
I mean, it was something that we were offered, and Mick and Peat, who's not here, we talked about it. I just said, we're a brown liquor house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gotta have it.
Gotta have it all.
I mean, if nobody drinks it, in a year, I really don't care.
You'll have that businessman that comes in and goes, "I want that."
Yeah.
Oh, you were like, "I got that. Don't worry about it."
Because that liquor, there's only so much of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of we were talking about age statements at the very beginning. There's only so much of that.
Oh yeah, the oldest Scotch that I've had, our father had a Glenfarclas 30.
Oh,
and that it was
Glenfarclas.
Fan-freaking-tastic.
That's a whiskey drinker's whiskey.
It was.
Could I get
not
3
a
fingers
big
of
one.
Glenlivet?
when we were in Scotland, we went to Glenfarclas, Aberfeldy, Glenfarclas. We drove through Balvenie, Glenmorangie. Went through Glenmorangie. Didn't make it into the distillery.
I have a bottle of 10-year Glenfarclas in my cabinet just because that's what I can afford.
That's what whiskey drinkers like.
Glenfarclas. When you look at that label, I mean, this is the thing that always kind of struck me. Mm-hmm. They're like 20 years behind. I mean, there's nothing fancy.
No,
about
it looks like out of the 70s.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Which is kind of fun, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, you guys got to
Update the label a little bit.
Update a little bit.
Yeah.
Update a little bit, but
Get with
then
the
also,
times.
They've apparently
If you
focused on
know-
their Scotch.
if you
Yeah,
know about
which is
the
great.
whiskey,
Yeah.
you know it's good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And you
to
don't
them.
need the label.
Yeah,
No.
no.
As long as you make a great product.
They make a fabulous.
There it
product.
This is super interesting,
Yeah.
this Balvenie.
So let me ask you guys: drinking Scotch.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you actually had a single malt?
Yes.
And do you remember how you felt? Your taste buds, and were you like, I'm sold, or was I like, gosh, I really don't like
I
this?
felt that it burnt the whole way down.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt.
So I had been into whiskey and I had gotten into bourbon whiskey and all that, and I have a friend of mine who's actually much younger than I am and has a palate for Macallan. That is like his, But I was like, he knows more about Macallan than it's unbelievable what he knows. So he got me into it, and at first, because it's sherry cask, the flavor profile is super assertive. But when they came out with the double wood, wow, the Macallan double wood is one of my favorites. It's super mellow. I'm more of a Glenlivet to start with.
Right.
I have moved on. I still keep Glenlivet because I like it.
I need 3 fingers of Glenlivet.
Yeah.
So
there.
when you first had your first Scotch, was that a bar or did you friend's house?
Yep.
Might have stolen it from my dad.
Really? I had to steal Keystone Light.
Jesus.
Sorry.
When we were in
you had to do that.
college, I'm going to age myself. 1981, man.
I didn't get to steal Scotch.
So we're back, and my buddy Jamie, his dad had an incredible little bar section in his house, and so the first single malt I had was Macallan, and it was one of these where you taste and go, I'm not so sure if I kind of like it, but we had 3 or 4 more pulls off his bottle.
Oh yeah.
And then watered it down, as most kids do.
I take that
and
back.
it was fabulous. I mean, that was my first time. This is 1981, and first time I ever had a single malt Scotch.
And you remember the year?
And,
Holy cow!
And I was totally sold. I just, it was like, this is an experience. And then of course, I mean, I was in college. You didn't have much money, so I mean, we would mostly raid his dad's cabinet. Was how he had Scotch, but it was fabulous.
Well, speaking of I said that I may have taken it from my dad. I actually took it from my grandpa. So Norm had a bar in the basement, and we as kids used to play down in the basement, and we were like, "Oh, we're playing bartender and all that stuff." So that was, I think, the first time that I actually had a Scotch. I had it. Yeah. I think I was maybe 15 or 13 at the time. 13 at the time, I probably.
I just remember
it was like
having
never going to do it.
Having this flavor in my mouth going, I don't really know if I want to do that anymore.
Exactly.
And you had a couple of more and you go, well, that's actually kind of pretty good.
I didn't have a couple more. I had the one and I was like, we shouldn't be doing this.
Grandpa's going to come get us.
Exactly. He's going to whip my butt.
If I could say one thing, Dad, I'm sorry if you're listening. It was me who
statute of limitations.
It was me who froze your vodka. I apologize.
You watered it down to the point.
I've never admitted that. Oh, my sister was doing the same thing, and I didn't realize
that. So it might have been your sister.
Wait, hold on. You were using the vodka and then putting water back into it and then froze it?
Turns out we were both doing that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well.
I've never admitted to that.
Oh, there you go. Hey, you know what? I think you're old enough. He's not going to spank you or whatever that
So there is the story of the 30-year Scotch, Britt. You know where I'm going with this one. When we were playing pool in the basement.
Yes.
At Dad's. So Britt and I are playing pool. He was living at the parents' house at the time, and
thanks.
So, you know what? It's fine.
It happens to everyone.
Down by the river.
Yeah,
last week.
Hey, I own my own house now. Come on.
You're living down by the river and you have a pool table. I mean, you're doing it
hard.
Right? Yeah. So he pours me a drink, and I take a sip, and I'm like, "Wow, this is fantastic." What is it? He said, "It's the Glenfarclas." I immediately grab another glass and I pour it into that because he had put ice in the whole thing, and I'm just like, "This is 30 years."
I didn't know.
Well, that's what we do.
I like a cold beverage.
Right.
That's what I like.
Bruising it. You're bruising.
Yep.
You know, you were talking about your friend who's
McAllen?
No, the wine. The wine.
Sommelier.
Yeah,
my brother-in-law.
Right. Does he talk about scotches? I know it's not the same, but does he have some reference points to it?
So we didn't do. So we went to Allagash Brewing Company in Maine, and then we went to Maine Craft Distilleries, both of which fantastic. And what was funny was a little side note story here on Allagash. We get there to Allagash because we had heard, all the brewery tour buses, they go to Allagash, and that's you got to go there if you're in Maine.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, we'll go. So we get there, and I was like, do you guys just have a flight? And we want to do a flight. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got one. And I'm like, okay, well, I want this. And they're like, no.
We'll take care of that.
No, they said, we have a flight. That's, you get what you get in the flight, and that's it.
Boom.
I'm like, okay.
You gotta have it.
So we get the flight, and we're talking about it, and we're kind of making notes and stuff like that. And he's doing it from his perspective. I'm doing it from my perspective. And our waitress is coming by, and she's like, you guys know, like, a lot about alcohol. And I was like, well, he just got his sommelier, and I have the show that we talk about drinks and all that. And she's like, oh, hold on. And she comes back, she's like, here's another flight, And we're like, okay, all right,
sweet. You guys do a trip.
Can we start filming?
Yeah.
Good for her. You're still talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we get through it, and fantastic. It was a much better. I mean, the first flight was fine. It was basically highlighting what they had, the different types.
Yeah.
And the second one was more like pinpointing.
In depth.
Yeah, it was super awesome. And then she comes back. She's like, hey, we have some rare beer bottles. Do you want to try some of those? And we're like, yes,
please.
No,
yes, please.
Not if you get in trouble. We don't.
Yeah. So at the end of the whole thing, the only disappointing part was at the end of the whole thing, because we had all of that. By the time we were done, all the brewers were gone, and I'm like, man,
I would
have loved to talk to him, but that's
coming off of that story. We were at Farnham House.
Oh,
you guys
Tony.
know Farnham House?
Love Tony.
Love Tony.
Love Tony.
It was me and my buddy Andrew, and we were sitting at the bar, and I just happened to glance up and see this picture of like fur coats and all that stuff, and I'm like, what's that all about? Why do you have a picture of that? And they're like, well, this used to be a furlough, and I'm like, a furlough, and they're like, yeah, a house where we sold furs. And downstairs used to be the lock house where they'd lock up the expensive furs at the end of the night, and that's where we brew our stuff. You want to go check it out? I'm like, yeah, I would love to go check it out. We go down there, and they have like 4 fridges right as you walk down. And I'm like, what's up all with all the fridges? And they were like, oh, these are experimental beers. They may go out, they may not. You guys want to try some? I'm like, yes,
maybe,
yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's just, I've got the bottle openers.
Exactly. But it's just one of those experiences. If I would have not asked about the picture, that. Yeah. So.
nice. 5 of them. Is there something you want to talk to? Or
your hand is just jelly out like this.
What
like
question
you wanted
do you
to
have?
Okay, they're rapid fire questions. These are like one
pressure.
One answer. You don't. You're one word answers. Okay. Favorite type of cigar.
Entrada.
Boom. All right.
Boom.
Yeah, we
Boom.
talked about that. All right. All right. Favorite type of whiskey,
Blantons.
and that can be in all its forms.
Blantons.
Anything from Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which still falls though. Blanton falls under Buffalo.
Yeah. Gravitate to that
Yeah.
every single time.
Hard
We were
not to.
picking this today. I just kept going to that distillery.
Right.
All right. Whiskey or whiskey?
Ooh.
Whiskey. No E.
Ushkabaha.
the liquid of life. The water of life.
Water of life. Yes. Excellent. Well done.
Irish roots. We
Well-
haven't talked about the Irish side.
Oh no,
Irish
we
side
didn't.
thing.
Ushkabaha.
We're all mutts. You
All
know.
right.
Yeah. Beer or cocktail?
Beer.
Beer.
Same here.
Go to cocktail or drink.
Jack and Coke.
Just when you're in a bar that you don't know the skill level of the bartender.
If I'm out of town and I get put on the spot, my instant response is Jack and Coke, and then I drink that while I figure out what I'm doing.
Gotcha. All right.
I'm horrible. I just whatever you tell me to drink.
Go to
No.
old fashioned.
Yeah, that's
Give me an old fashioned.
You know
Let
what?
me see how you can do it.
that's
yeah, but you see, I don't like
But-
a bad old fashioned.
But if it's a bad old fashioned, I'll probably never be back again.
or it tells
Well,
me
but
the
that's
skill
not-
level of the
There you go.
bartender.
Am I?
Exactly.
You
Am I?
had one.
Yeah,
Are
you didn't
coming
drink all
back?
of it.
Well, that's because we got into the talk, but it's good. I liked it. It's you
For
know,
some
you have
reason,
to have
the
a little
drink
bit
took
of
a long
orange.
time.
Yeah,
Right.
you had to. Well, that happens. But you got to have all the flavors in there. You know.
Yeah.
I
I don't disagree. That's a great tester.
It is a
That's
great
what
tester
it's
to a good bar. You
Yep.
know.
I would agree with that.
And I think I still have it. If he I get ready.
I just
probably
don't-
watered down too
I
much.
just don't have a one I go to. That's never have. I like them all.
Yeah.
Well, that's
my
a good
problem.
answer too.
I mean, if somebody has a cocktail they talk about in the location, I'll try it.
Yeah,
I
there
love
you
to
go.
try it because I like to see the experimentation.
Nice.
You know, to go and say, I mean, truthfully, if I want to go get an old fashioned or a Sazerac, I'll go down to
And
New Orleans.
he was just pushing you towards
Sorry,
the mic.
just
That's all
pushing
he was
you towards
doing.
the mic, that's all.
Not away from him. Just
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Listen, I'll go down to New Orleans if I want a real Sazerac or I want
Oh,
a
there
real
you
go.
old-fashioned.
Nice,
So,
nice.
That's-
I've been to some places where some things are sacred. So to deviate outside of it's hard.
I want to try a Sazerac in Europe with like true absinthe in it because Sazerac is one of my favorite.
See over there.
I love
over
With
there,
wormwood in it?
You're gonna get.
I wanna be
the
hanging out with Austin
absinthe,
Powers
but
when I have a
it's also gonna
Sazerac.
be cognac
I'm
or
gonna hang out with you
brandy,
guys.
not rye.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it is down in New Orleans. That's the way they serve it.
That's what it's supposed
With
to
brandy.
be.
New
A lot of people
Orleans.
like rye, but
New
it's
Orleans.
supposed to be
Well,
brandy.
the thing about rye is it cuts through that sweetness. That's why
Oh.
rye is such a good mixing drink.
It's just a hatchet.
Yeah, yeah.
We love rye. We
Yep.
didn't get a chance to even really talk about that.
There was so I had a drink that was made by the fine folks at Inkwell, and it was called the Vucare.
Fucare.
Have you ever heard of it? So it tastes like a Sazerac and an old fashioned had a baby. It's amazing.
That
How do you make
sounds
that?
amazing,
How do you make
actually.
that? So they got rye in it.
Yeah, rye whiskey, and then
Do they
there's
have like champagne
there's
or
sweet vermouth.
Chambord or something?
yeah there's a I can't remember what it is, but there's
They
a
weren't at
sweet
the
vermouth.
Homie Inn.
No.
Yeah,
Cherry. I love cherry there.
yeah.
So
Champagne on tap.
yeah, cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been serving champagne for 50 years.
All
probably.
right.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Find it.
love
Yeah.
their place.
Okay, last rapid fire question. When you're not hanging out the bar smoking a cigar, what do you like to do?
Be with my son.
Ah,
My son. I like
bravo.
hanging out with my
Good
kids.
answer. Good
I like
answer.
hanging with my kids.
Yeah.
my wife and critters.
yeah. Dogs.
My
The
wife
young
and
human,
critters.
the young humans, or do you have little four-legged
Dog and
creatures?
2 cats.
All right.
And my wife, and
Critters.
that's what I like to do.
You know, kind of drill it down. Kind of, it's great to have that off time because you get a chance to think about what we're doing, where we're going.
Yeah.
Kind of next project.
Exactly.
I'm not
This
thinking
is
about
why
the
I'm
next
doing it,
project yet.
Yeah.
Because the Rathskeller, but we're
I
gonna
brought
think of
that
some
up
new
last
project.
night, though.
I
You
know.
weren't ready for it.
Well, yeah, I was probably ready for
Yeah,
it.
let them at least celebrate a year anniversary
Right.
before you do something.
I've been trying to take Mondays off as much as possible.
How do you do that?
Mondays are
Because-
crazy.
Well, here's the thing.
Off the weekend?
I work Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
Those are the days. Those
I
are the big
work
days.
those days. So Monday, naturally, I need a day off. Otherwise, I push over that 40 hours. So it's like, give me Monday off, guys. Let me just. But Monday I get 22 emails because everybody's coming back to work. It's like, well, I'll deal with you on Tuesday.
That's why you said, how do you take Monday off?
Right. You really can't.
I think a lot of these things that we've been tasting tonight and all the camaraderie. I think that the opportunity for you to take some time and relax and enjoy your own personal self.
Yeah,
enjoy your family. It makes all this that much better.
It does.
Absolutely.
It does.
Well said. Yeah. Well said. I do kind of want to round this off. Before we sign off, though, I did want to highlight here. These are actually for you. Podcast.
Oh, so.
We're on. It does phenomenal.
Just fits the lip good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what I drink my beer out of.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hosting us.
All right, one last thing.
Oh, let's do it.
What drink are we going to end this on?
Oh,
because I know we're going to sign off.
Right.
Yeah, we are.
I want everybody to know what.
So let's go around the table and let's. I'm going to give my 2 cents.
Okay.
2 favorites.
Yeah.
2 favorites.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the first one we drank. Rum. The rum was great.
Mm-hmm. Like for rum, it was pretty fabulous.
For a starter, it was sweet. It was great. And then right after that, Jack Daniels. This was good though.
I know it's good. That's really good. But that's a sneaker.
It is.
That's a
it
sneaker.
Really is.
And for you,
coming off of the Elvis show that I was on, and then now I was drinking that, I'm like, wow, amazingly awesome.
I think that's a sneaker.
Can we do 2? I mean, we have 2 glasses here. So.
You know what? I think since
just a little sample of.
I think we can do whatever we want.
Perfect. All right.
Exactly. Your call.
Oh, Mick, I think whatever we want. And Sean's been patient. We probably need to have Sean.
What's yours? Britt said his.
We're going around the table here.
I honestly with Jack. Jack and
that Jack. Not just regular Jack.
That Jack. The
Sinatra
Jack right here.
Sinatra Jack. And you guys have an event coming up. You said.
Yeah, December 12th.
December 12th.
All day long we have Sinatra. Drinks. We have your tastings. You
come in, do a raffle. Be present to win the raffle.
Nope. Don't have to be here to be present to win the raffle. The Dapper Kings are playing. It's all Frank Sinatra music, all the Rat Pack music. 7 to 11. It's dress up, come and enjoy it. Get the feel and the vibe of the Rat Pack.
Nice.
I'm down.
So I would have to say again, I'm a little partial about the rum. So it'd be the rum and the Jack.
Nice.
Mick,
they're great.
They're with you, bro.
They're great.
Taking my partialities out of it, I'm a Peat smoked fan.
That's what we're drinking on.
Yeah, it was Balvenie,
and that Balvenie's killer.
Well, and it's such a smooth for a peated Scotch. It is a smooth peated Scotch.
I have too many memories of that spray that Mom used to spray on my bandage to go. It was good. I'm glad that it was given to me and I enjoyed it. But to me, I'm just so like too many
memories,
scraped knees and scraped elbows.
Just blowing on it so it doesn't hurt.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's not very often I get to try this one.
I know, right?
So
that was good too.
Special because you don't get to try that very often. That's not when I get.
We didn't talk about the squirrel.
Squirrely.
Yeah, squirrely. Always after my nuts.
He's a nutcracker.
Right? He's a nutcracker.
Yeah.
He's always on the show. I don't know.
Definitely in the spirit of Christmas, it's a nutcracker. I mean,
it is
traditional.
It is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, all my girls are in the Christmas Carol this year. So
where at?
Playhouse.
At the Playhouse. Yeah.
No kidding.
So if you go see it at the Playhouse, both my girls are in there. Yeah.
Good for you.
So they love it.
They're doing 6 shows a week.
6 shows a week.
I'm like,
are they getting paid?
What time? No, it's all volunteer. I'm like, but I'm like, what's the next stop? Vegas or LA or where are you going next?
Going to Vegas.
Well, and they just had on Saturday morning. They actually had a recording session because one of the gals
that was awesome. Thank you for sending that to me.
Yeah, one of the gals that was in the production actually has her own
recording studio.
Yeah, so so they had it was super.
Not that they couldn't have come to my basement. My studio in my basement.
This was like
could have come to Uncle's place.
Actually,
exactly.
I found out after we left. It's actually when Lady Gaga came to town. That's actually where she recorded. Was that particular studio?
Her lips were on that microphone.
Yeah, so super cool.
Super dope.
My choices though are I'm gonna go back to the Jack Daniels because that was the sneaker.
You talked about that from the very beginning.
Yeah. So
I think that's the surprise.
It is.
That's the surprise present.
Super awesome
for the holiday
president.
season.
There you go.
All right,
For the Christmas season.
And then I also want some of the some of
Blantons.
yours. Yeah, that's
All right,
some of yours.
We're gonna round this out. We got to have a little bit of this.
We gotta have the Jack. That was good.
I think everybody, and we're getting a little dirty because the glass is a little dirty.
That's all right.
No big deal.
That was the one that I had the Jack in.
Are you saying I have to finish this to get another one?
Yes, that's the best.
You
way
have
do
to continue on with the
I love
show.
you. I'm sorry.
Is there? But while you're pouring these, is there anything else that we? I mean, we touched on so many different things.
Gosh.
So,
I mean, I think the content that we talked on was just overwhelming. To be honest with you, I think you guys have been great.
Yeah.
We touched on all the businesses. We touched on.
If we had a producer, what we would have them do is go through the video and like splice in like 10-minute chunks. Like they talked about this, they talked about this.
We both didn't have full-time jobs.
We are the greatest
segmented.
producers.
Yeah.
No,
Are you handing or are you?
That's yours.
That's
That's
yours.
your Jack.
And then
Is there anything in the future that's coming up that?
Oh, my goodness.
Besides
they just opened
being
the
here on
Rathskeller,
December
yeah.
12th. Yeah,
You know, the Rathskeller for.
yeah, but you're always on to the next thing.
Yeah, the Rathskeller for the German Beer Haus. That's
Thank you,
gonna
sir.
That's going to be big because there's so many things we're going to do there. I mean, outside of what we got going on inside, then we talked about the outdoor patio area.
Oh, that's great. I
we
saw
can
the
have-
picture online. I was like, cool.
we had bands, and I'm just going to kind of spill a little bit of this. Is that
Spilling some beans.
we're going to have the first annual Bavarian Games, and that's all I'm going to say.
oh well, I mean that's at the Rathskeller opening. I mean that's
First annual Bavarian Games.
that'll be
so
awesome.
Boys,
Are we gonna throw a log over a pole?
all I'm
I mean,
saying, ladies and ladies and gentlemen, you better get your hatchets ready.
nice.
So
Nice.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we just
it'll
had that the new bar that just opened up that where you could throw the hatchet.
Right.
Hold on.
Which
So you're gonna
You're
do?
getting too deep
You're gonna
now.
do?
just yep.
That's an accident waiting to happen in my head.
I'm not going to do it on site.
All right.
There's
fair
an
enough.
order of operations.
we're gonna-
Yeah, right.
yeah.
There's somebody there. Like, don't step past this
That's
line.
right. Yeah, we'll do it proper, but
Perfect.
but we're going to do the first annual
You're gonna do it
Bavarian
neat.
Games. Very neat.
Very neat.
Which
that's-
will be pretty exciting. I mean, honestly, it's
I'm
going to be
excited.
pretty cool because it'll be a prequel to Oktoberfest.
We're going to stop the recording and we're going to talk to you about that here
Yeah,
after that.
exactly.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else left to be said, we're going to drink on these fine whiskeys
And the old country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we haven't talked about Ireland, Sláinte.
Well, I thank you for joining
Yeah.
us. We have been
Brett,
at.
Thank you.
Brett, again.
Thank you very much.
You've been fabulous.
Thank you. We've been at Havana Garage. We've been talking with the owner Chet and general manager Mick. Thank you for stepping in. This was actually kind of short notice for you. So
Yeah.
Very short
You were like, I'm
notice.
going home. I'm like,
Well
no,
done,
you're
sir.
staying here.
No,
Swung
I'm
it out of the
sitting here
park.
and drinking whiskey. It's terrible.
Terrible job.
your job
Sorry,
is so
Kirsten,
hard.
I love you.
But yeah, we've been drinking on a multitude of whiskeys and scotches. If
Which
you want
we
the
will
list,
put in. Yeah, we'll put it in the thing.
we'll put the links in there. So I don't know. John was he was actually kind of
Being
our-
the man,
Yeah.
awesome.
He got the drinks ready. He was watching the social media and
Hopefully
watching,
commenting and whatnot.
Yeah. So appreciate you joining us. Video will be up shortly on YouTube. Right now on
Well,
Facebook.
it'll be like Wednesday, but
yeah, shortly. Yeah.
things happen.
Audio.
And take Monday
Yeah.
off. All right.
Take Monday off.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us. My name's Brian.
I'm Britt.
Chaz.